All right.
Oh, hi. Welcome, one and all in one. Everyone is involved. Everyone is inclusive. All you rockers, rockets, everything in between. We allow all. Thank you for joining a new edition, a live edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. That's right. We're going live again because we have another album to rank and discuss track by track. This one's gonna be a doozy. I'm just gonna go ahead and call it, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. I, of course, am your co-host, Mark Kmeyer. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, are you more bummed or excited to see how these rankings are gonna go tonight?
I haven't been to sleep since the late 80s. I didn't miss a thing, but I'm a little groggy, but I'm good to go.
We're good to go, buddy. Diver down.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Better to be groggy a little bit, but still able to talk about Van Halen. That's fine.
I tell you what, doing the rankings here, getting all the ballots in has been really interesting because they were kind of all over the place. No two ballots are definitely the same, and you're going to see it. We have pretty big swings back and forth, and actually pretty close. Actually, the middle section, all the way up until today when it got Kelsey's amended rankings because she screwed up and forgot a track. But because
hey.
because you had to redo yours, you changed the fate of 3 different songs.
Yeah, I did. Don't worry, I'll
That's
explain
power.
it. But the song that I missed, it's really growing on me. And when I was doing the ranking, I was so like enamored by the song, I completely forgot.
Well, song 6, 7, 8 moved around because of how you ranked them, Kelsey. So we'll get into that. But first, let's introduce the panel.
I do what I can.
And the first time on a ranking show here live, he was commenting in the chat, and one day just said, "Hey, you should just come on the show." And he said, "All right." He even cut his own stream short tonight to join us here tonight. Johnny Bean is here tonight. Famed YouTuber, guitar player.
Hey,
overall good guy.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming on. Yeah. And just below him, what do we say in the Charles Nelson Riley Square on Hollywood Squares? On loan from the recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting, the one, the only Chris L is here once again. How you doing, Chris?
It's to be compared to Charles Nelson Riley in any way is probably the best thing anybody's ever said to me. So thank you for that.
I meant every word,
another
my friend.
Topical reference of
You
Hollywood.
I wish I was ready for that. I would have put an ascot on and a nicer jacket, something like that.
There's still time.
When we get you back on for a different kind of truth, because we'll have to get you back on for that one for sure. And of course, the debut, you can come ascot ready.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. See, the dogs are barking; they're all excited,
excellent,
ready to go.
Speaking of excited, everybody's excited when he's on the show. The host of Rush Rash and the Regarding Horseshit series of podcasts. He listens to him, so we don't have to, folks. He's the real hero. Chaz Charles, how you doing, Chaz?
Regarding horseshit. That's the next one. Regarding Horseshack. How about that? We'll go back. Hey, Mr. Carter. Huh? No? Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. This is one of my favorite Van Halen records. So
and that's why we had to have you on.
Yeah, man. Can't wait. Best fucking cover band in the world.
See, and contrasting that, we have the guy who wrote the book on David Lee Roth. He came out here and said, Diver Down is nobody's favorite record. So he's going to be the negative influence on the show, if you can believe it. He's also the host of the DLR cast. Famed author, interviewer, amateur bowler, Darren Paltrowitz. How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be doing the ramen bowl equivalent of the Van Halen catalog with you guys.
Oh, wonderful.
Is Darren calling Chaz a liar when Chaz says that Diver Down's one of his favorite Van Halen albums?
I am. I think that he is one of the nicest people on earth, and he's just an apologist for mediocrity.
Ooh, wow. Okay, well, I'll say there's no bias here, but Darren, we are taking your tagline for season 3 of the Regarding series. for regarding Van Halen 3. So how many say why? That is the tagline for season 3. So thank you very much for that. So
My
yeah,
pleasure.
I'll defer to you. I'll defer to you.
My pleasure.
Scott Monroe in the chat, he had to throw it out there too. How many say why?
Is.
A lot of people in the chat here tonight. Welcome, everyone. Even Scott Haskin, the self-proclaimed sexiest man in podcasting. If anyone disputes that, go ahead and fight him over it. Speaking of sexy, though, we're going to get one of our sexy patrons on here. The one and only Matt Lacoste is back. It's been a while, buddy. How you doing?
What up?
It has been a while. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? I've been enjoying all the listening to everything, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we've had a
Absolutely.
ton of stuff to listen to. We've been going alternating between regular shows and live shows until we get the Van Halen catalog done, which we're going to do sometime, late July. I think we're going to end up finishing everything off. We've got 3 songs left on the wheel.
Yeah.
We got a
Crazy.
wrap-up show to go, and we got a few more live shows to go. And all of them have so far featured the lovely Kelsey. Thank you once again, Kelsey, for spending a Friday night with us here talking Van Halen.
I've been looking forward to this. I have told many people, like, disclaimer, not a huge Diver Down girl, but it was nice to go through it and listen to it. But I don't hate it. I will say that, but it's definitely not my favorite album of theirs. But yeah, no, it was nice to go through and like listen to this because I don't think I've ever really sat down and examined this album the way that I did when I was going through the listings. So yeah, I'm excited to be here as always.
Awesome. Well, Mark, before we get going, let's see. You and I, we've covered every song on Diver Down on the little show that we do. What are your overall impressions of that record?
Well, I mentioned this off air to some of our folks here, and I guess I'll go ahead and get it on record while we're at it. I remember in subsequent shows and in the past, as we have gone through the catalog of Diver Down, I remember thinking, you know what, Corey, people have shit all over this album a lot, but it's actually doesn't seem that bad as we're going through it. It's like I think people give it more hate than it deserves. I think this is actually a solid Van Halen album, and I believed that. I'll tell you though, listening to it again a couple of times to get ready for this ranking, I had less enjoyment of the album overall than I originally had thought I would. So that made ranking difficult for me, and then it also it was just kind of I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it at this moment. Maybe as we go through it track by track and getting different perspectives, because I think that's what I need. I need some different perspectives because right now I'm a bit indifferent. How about you?
Maybe a little bit better than that. I'm going to throw to Darren Paltrowitz here right away, but anyone who kind of knows the history of Diver Down knows this was kind of the, we have to get an album out because, Eddie especially wanted a break. And Dave Lee Roth was like, no, they're going to forget about us. Let's just put out a single. And, of course, he wanted Dancing in the Street. And Eddie said, no, that's dumb. I don't know how to turn that into Van Halen. They settled on Oh Pretty Woman, and it became a big hit. So then the record company's like, we need an album. So exhausted Eddie has to take little scraps he kind of put together, plus some more covers, a few instrumentals, and just kind of throw something together. And sales-wise, it turned out pretty good for the boys. But this is an album that I don't even think Eddie was really happy with. He kind of seemed to disown it later on in life, didn't he, Darren?
Right.
Yeah, and adding to that, the riff that it's at the beginning of Dancing in the Street, there was some contention over that because Eddie had that as a new composition of sorts, and that kind of got lumped in with the publishing. So he thought that there should have been an extra payday of writing an original thing, yet it gets lumped into the cover.
Gotcha. All right. Well, what do you say? Let's not waste any more time. Let's explain, first of all, how we get to our official show rankings here. Basically, we poll all of our patrons. You can go to patreon.com/podcastwillrock, and you can submit your official rankings for the show, 1 through 12 for Diver Down. This is the one where everybody sent incomplete rankings, it seemed like. People, because everybody wants to group the Little Guitars intro with Little Guitars, and I get it. But the band themselves separated it on the track listing, so we rank it separate, even though it's 43 seconds long. I know it's stupid, but that's what we're doing. And that's what we've done for the live shows previous. We're not changing now. As Chris would say, it's our fucking show. We're going to do whatever the hell we want.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and speaking of Chris and Johnny and Kelsey, we get some special guests, Darren, as well, to submit their rankings as well. We have some old friends who aren't here tonight, like Sean McGinnity and Kevin Brown, who also submitted rankings. I tabulate all the rankings, and we come up with a point system, and we're just going to rank them from 12 all the way down to 1. And this is our official show rankings for Diver Down. A few of these tracks are going to be pretty quick because, like I said, we got 3 instrumentals and we got another a quick little song about 1:06. So let's just hop right into it here. And actually, that first song we are going to hear. Yep. That's right. It's Happy Trails, finishing below all the instrumentals. 62% for Happy Trails. Kind of fitting. It's at the end. Its highest ranking was 3rd. Somebody had Happy Trails 3rd on their rankings.
What?
Well, we'll get into it.
I can get that. I get it.
10 people had this
Get it.
ranked as the lowest ranking track on the album. That's also the most votes it got, was in 12th spot. When the audience was ranking this one, when we did our audience polls, this song ranked 8th. Keep in mind, though, they don't vote on instrumentals. So this was second to last in the audience poll. In our official rankings, though, it is last. Let's start with Johnny here. Happy Trails, you had this one ranked number 12 as well.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately. I mean, I like the song. And if those of you know sorry, I've got a cat here. This is Ned.
Hey, Ned.
He wanted to hang out with us, so he's here as well.
Lydia be his buddy over here.
We are very pet friendly on this show, yes.
Oh yeah. See, he's purring. I don't know if you can hear him.
Wonderful.
Actually, if you guys know the like the demo versions of the Van Halen music, they actually did Happy Trails when they were doing demos for the first record.
I didn't know
So
that.
there is another version of that out there. And of course,
Wow.
they would close, all the shows. I think from Diver Down through 84, I think. But
Yep.
I mean, it showcased their vocals, which is great, because each member could sing. But there had to be a song that was last. Plus, it was last on the album anyway, so why not be last?
There you go. It's just kind of poetic.
in the rankings.
That's right. Mark, my friend, you had this one ranked number 10, though. You kind of dug this one a little more than in 2 others.
Well, the 2 below it are instrumental tracks. So, in all fairness, those 2 below this one aren't real songs. I'll stand by that. So yeah, Happy Trails had to go somewhere. I couldn't in good conscience though put it dead last above or below all of it because it's an actual song. The harmonies are good, and look, I'm a choir kid at heart. I always have been, and I'm a sucker for good harmonies. So, and just like Johnny just stated, this showcased everyone's vocal ability, at least everyone in the band who would sing. So I don't believe Alex is contributing vocals here. So 3 out of 4.
I think he
ain't bad.
is.
Oh, is he?
I think
Okay.
they
Yeah,
all
they
sang
all
on
are.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then
Yep.
cool. 4 out of 4 ain't
Mhm.
bad. Then
Yeah.
and it's just like this could absolutely have gone horribly, and it's not horrible. It's not typical Van Halen, of course. So I mean, that's automatically gonna turn people away and turn them off. But I think for what it is, it's Happy Trails. It's nothing overwhelmingly awesome, but I mean, it is, it's a nice little sing-songy thing, and it showcases everyone can sing a cappella. They can nail some harmonies. No one's doing too much, no one's doing too little. It's just right. It's fine, but it is not really like a high caliber track in the Van Halen catalog, so of course it's not gonna rank very high, but I just had to put it above at least 2 instrumental tracks.
There you go. Matt Lacoste, you had this one number 12.
I mean, I don't know where else you can put it. It's fun. Diver Down was the first album I actually had. It was that and Fair Warning. But this song was when I was a kid, and I'm like 11 or 12 years old when I got this. It just made me laugh as a kid, and it still kind of makes me laugh. I don't know, it's just fun, and the harmonizing's perfect. And it's like in the Klosterman rankings, like he was like, if the Beach Boys, were Van Halen, this if the Beach Boys were a 10 out of 10 harmonizing, I think he said Van Halen's an 8.5. And it shows it. It's like the four of them can sing, and
Yeah.
if your lead singer is not the best singer in the band, that's what you get. It's fine. It's a fine throwaway. It's a nice little ending, and yeah, they played it at the end of every show in Diver Down in the '84 tour, I believe. Yeah, so, but it's belongs at the bottom, I think, on this album.
All right, Kelsey, you had this number 1. Oh wait, no, that's 12. Sorry, you had this 12.
Bruh.
Oh.
Don't do me like that.
Get the fuck out of here.
Nice. Under the bus.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'd leave. No, I said it's not my. I have notes on my phone, so if anyone sees me glancing, it's not my least favorite, but it's just like, I think I say this every time I'm on. It's like it had to go somewhere. I do like it. I think it's cute. Just like, and obviously like seeing them sing it at the end of the show is adorable. I do like hearing all their voices because you don't get to hear that a lot. Like you can each pick out. I sing the bum ba dee da bum like to myself all the time. But yeah, it had to go somewhere. But I do like this song.
Yeah, it's a fun little minute 6. Eddie Van Trollen, if anyone's wondering, had this one ranked number 10. Tom liked to point out it's better than Intruder, so I think we know what he ranked dead last. Mr. Duds 1984 said Happy Trails is dead last. No reason for that song. Waste. Jeff Brewer just joining us. What number are we on? We're on 12, Jeff. You're right on timer. We're going to Chris L now to talk about Happy Trails. You had this one ranked number 11. Oh, I think you're muted there.
You did.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Rookie.
Yeah, I know.
Rookie,
I
he's
work
done
in
like
I have a
500.
corporate job too, so I should know better than that. But yeah, I had it below all the instrumental tracks and above one of the vocal tracks. Tipped my hand on that last time, but that's fine. You get the album, you see it on the track listing, and you're kind of like, is that really what it's going to be? And then you get to it, and you listen to it, and it's okay. Okay, that's mildly amusing. They're having a good time, whatever. But after that, if you had the album on vinyl, you lift up the needle before it ever gets to Happy Trails again. If you got the cassette, you hit stop and flip it over and rewind to the beginning before you ever listen to it again. There's just literally no reason to ever listen to it more than once. I mean, why would you do that? And then, closing the concerts with it was a good way for people who wanted to beat the traffic to hightail it out of there. It's just I don't know. A one and done, fine. It's funny, mildly entertaining, but like, who would ever listen to that more than once? I don't get it.
Yeah, I can imagine anyone going into a concert around that time who knew the set list. We're like, okay, we can leave early, but there's one more song, maybe. No, yeah, I know what the song is though. We're good. Let's get out of here.
Like, no, we're
why
good.
wouldn't you want to see that? That's that's the band. That's
Well,
after the big long show, and
it's the
they've been
boys.
fucking with you for all that time, and now they're
Yeah,
at the front of the stage. They're all fucked up.
Ba-dee-da.
I mean,
Right?
you'll
They're just
watch it.
having a good time.
You'll stick around for it during Diver
Yeah.
Down, but when they break into it on the next tour, it's like, okay, I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't need to see.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But it actually wasn't like the final song. They would mix it into a song.
Yes.
Okay,
So
that's even
really?
worse.
they're actually doing like You Really Got Me. They'd break into that and go back into You Really Got Me.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
a
even
little
worse.
Awkward.
Yeah. So
All right, Chaz, you had this 11. Do you have anything else you want to say about Happy Trails?
No, I mean it's one of those things, like everyone has said. I mean, all the good points of it to me, like I said about the record, this is just the bottom of the best list. It's and there was one behind it. The sense of humor, the camaraderie, the harmony, it's just, it's fun, the whole live aspect of it. To me, it's like an endearing picture of the fun-loving criminals that they were, that image that they portrayed at the end. It was like, hey, this was all in good fun, and yeah, this is really us. And this was still all in good fun. And Happy Trails, folks. We'll see you again. I thought it was a perfect album closer. we talk about, songs that really close out albums really well. I mean, Happy Trails, come on. So in that way, for me, it was an inspired choice when you look at all these covers that they were doing, because of the endearing, power of it for their live show. So anyway.
All right. Well, Darren Paltrowitz, you get the final word on the shortest song. You're also the highest ranking person on the panel. You had this one number 9.
I think everybody said some very interesting points to all this. I think the way that you know that this song or recording was a failure was when you look at the David Lee Roth activity from the last 4 or 5 years. He never talks about this. When I saw him in 2020, he was doing Pretty Woman, but he never talks about this cover. Whereas when you saw some of the corporate gigs that he'd done in the past year or two, he was doing You Really Got Me. So if it was a good idea, it would have come back out from Dave.
All right. Happy Trails, number 12, ladies and gentlemen. It's time now for number 11. And what do you say we hear one of those instrumentals, shall we? How about this one right here? Number 11, we're talking about Intruder. 62 total points. Its highest ranking was 5th on one person's ballot. They had this ranked as high as 5th. 6 people had this ranked dead last. The most votes it got was in the number 10 spot. 8 people ranked it there. And, of course, being an instrumental, it was not ranked by our audience poll. Tell you what, it's atmospheric and kind of creepy sounding. Let's start with Matt Lacoste on this one here. Where did you have this one, buddy? I'm just looking up your list here. Intruder, you have number 10, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's my least favorite instrumental they've ever done. I still like it. It doesn't sound like anything else they've done. It sounds like a weirdo soundtrack to a movie from the 80s, like Megaforce or some weirdo shit. It is what it is. I don't know. I mean it's an introduction to a cover, and that's how I look at it. I couldn't put this any higher or lower. If I had to rank all the David Lee Roth era Van Halen songs, this would be right at the bottom above Happy Trails. It's fine. It's just nothing special, I don't think.
Yeah, it's my least favorite instrumental on the record, and to me, it's kind of a weird intro into Pretty Woman, because you kind of get this
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you kind of get like this Enemy Mine type, science fiction type instrumental going, and then into a Roy Orbison tune. Really kind of a weird segue for me. But what do you think, Kelsey? Intruder. There we went into Pretty Woman right there. You had Intruder number 6.
I do like this song. I like I think I've made this pretty clear. I love I always say Eddie sounds good regardless, and I love hearing Eddie just as Eddie. And I don't know, would I listen to this on my own? Probably not, because I don't really like instrumentals like that, but I think Eddie sounds really cool here, and I love it when he drops to the lower octave. It sounds even spookier. I wrote that I could win a fight to this song. But other than that, yeah, I said the song puts me on another planet, which I do agree with still. But yeah, no, I think it's a cool little tune, and when it rolls into Pretty Woman, like a fucking thing of adrenaline just shoots through my body. I'm like, oh my god, so cool.
I think you win most fights on any song, Kelsey. I wouldn't worry about that. What was playing at the time? Yeah, exactly. Chris,
Allegedly.
Chris L, my friend, you had this one ranked number 7.
Yeah, I could. I can see this being Kelsey's entrance music when she becomes a female wrestler.
Yes,
working out pretty good. But the hell is barking now? Jeez, now you know I'm on mute all the time. This is I had this instrumental. This is my favorite instrumental of all the ones on Diver Down. To me, it harkens back to Sunday Afternoon in the Park from the previous album, of course. And as far as instrumentals go, I do appreciate the ones that have the whole band playing on it versus just a guitar exercise, or worse, a keyboard exercise like 1984, which it might be other guys playing on that, but when it's keyboard centric, I kind of tune it out when I'm listening to Van Halen. But yeah, I of the instrumentals, I had it ranked the highest, and I'm with Kelsey. It's definitely a jarring juxtaposition, but the way they flowed it into Pretty Woman was pretty awesome, because you heard Pretty Woman first as a single only. Then when you get the album and you hear that before it, it's like, how is this going to go? And it ended up going great. So that's why I put it as high as I did.
I do agree on that. Transition is pretty cool. Scott Everett in the chat points out they included it just to make sure they had enough material for the Pretty Woman video, complete filler. But hands up, who's seen the video? The video for this is pretty iconic. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Iconic, awful, same thing.
It's adorable.
If it's, is it adorable?
Leave them alone.
Is that thing? That thing is canceled. I don't think that.
Not the
it's
word I would
definitely
use.
Yeah, that's
unspoken.
It was
shit.
canceled.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Them and all their
That's deep.
costumes is adorable, but otherwise,
Weird stuff going on there.
Mr. Duds 1984 says Intruder is one step up from Strung Out from Balance. Johnny Bean, would you agree with that? You are the one fellow who had this ranked as high as number 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, Intruder, it's a special track for me because when I first started playing the guitar, I used to play along to these songs. I would play along to Intruder. In fact, I did a guitar lesson on YouTube on how to play Intruder, actually. And Andy Taylor from Duran Duran actually reposted it
Nice.
years ago.
There's a
long
flex.
time
cool.
ago. Yeah. Oh, he's actually a huge Eddie fan. But
He's
no,
awesome.
I grew up listening to this song and I was a huge Van Halen collector in the 80s and in the 90s, and so I always read about the music video, and I finally saw it in 1994 when I bought a VHS tape, those bootleg tapes that you would get. And when I finally saw it, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But it is true that Intruder was recorded for the music video because they didn't have enough material for the video itself. But again, to me, it's Eddie Van Halen, and supposedly David Lee Roth is the one that played the keyboards on that.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
All right.
I like it.
Mark Kameyer, number 11. What are your thoughts on Intruder?
I echo everyone's sentiments on it. It's like, it's not that it's god awful, but it is jarring. It's an interesting juxtaposition, like Chris mentioned. I kind of applaud the choice because it's a choice to make this the intro to your cover of Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman. But I like, you know me, I like, weird sounding creepy things. So that, why they chose that to be the intro to Pretty Woman is beyond me. Other than, well, they needed an intro to make room for the video. That's all well and good, but why this particular structure? Don't know, but honestly, like, it's fine though. It's a cool little intro, but it is an intro. And if I'm being honest, anytime I listen to Pretty Woman, I just skip through it. Because it's just like, it's fine, but it just feels like it's prolonging the inevitable. Let's just get to the track. I just want to jam out to Pretty Woman. I don't need an intruder coming in, and stepping in front of it. But that said, it's fine. It's not necessary, but it's fine.
All right, Darren Paltrowitz, number 10 on your ballot.
Hot take. Do we want a hot take or are we maxed out?
We want
Go
hot
for it.
takes
Hot
all
take.
day.
do it.
Yep.
Okay, so as a music industry person that's gone over a lot of contracts, back in the day, you didn't get your publishing advance unless you delivered a certain number of original compositions on an album. So covers would work against that, or co-writes with outside writers would work against that. So I have the vibe that this is one of those, oh, no, we need 8 original compositions to get our advance. There's no other explanation I could come up with for breaking out Little Guitar's intro is an extra thing, Intruder is an extra thing, Cathedral is an extra thing. So if contract fulfillment, MDRC, I think is the abbreviation, was the goal, mission accomplished.
I think you're onto something there.
God damn.
Oh,
Huge.
yeah,
That's
he
a
nailed it.
great explanation I've never heard. That's exactly right. That's the thing about this album, right? I mean, how many covers? That's the
Maybe-
only way they could probably, the label could make their cash, right?
Well, the
End of the day.
publisher in this case, the publishing is separate from the label, but back in this era, Van Halen wasn't as rich as we now think they are in retrospect. So it's probably like, oh, cool, we get our 450 grand for delivering these pieces of crap. Awesome.
Yeah. So did they own their publishing back then?
I'm sure that they were under a bad co-pub deal that got renegotiated 25 times,
That's
and
probably
ultimately
Warner Brothers.
reversed them.
And who's got their publishing right now? Everybody's selling their publishing nowadays.
It is largely Warner Chappell. Eddie took his to an independent publisher that was an old friend. And Dave, according to very reliable resources, had his estate on the market, but I don't think he signed it away from Warner Chappell.
Okay. Well, we go from incredible insights to Chaz Charles. Chaz, you had Intruder
Man.
ranked number 12.
Fuck. Yeah, I did, because it had to go somewhere. I mean, it's dark and moody. It belongs on one of my favorite records, Fair Warning. I think it would have been right at home, just like Chris said, To me, it does have vibes of like, I think he could have worked with Jimmy Page in this period, like when he was working on the Death Wish 3 soundtrack. It's like it's got that vibe, and I dig that record. So, I could see that. I'd love to see Eddie and Jimmy and like fucking Chris Farlow from Coliseum do a fucking, some kind of that would have been a great, 1-off, 2-off kind of track thing. But to me, it's really cool. I didn't know that Dave was playing keys on it. That adds a little dimension to it. Yeah, I'm not gonna knock it. I've always liked Intruder, and I get it. I get breaking it up and getting your payday, getting contractual obligations out of the way, particularly since Eddie didn't really want to be doing it, right? So it was a really good way for them to just kind of clear that, move on.
Right. Well, quick question for Darren, because Eddie Van Trollen points out there's actually 5 covers on Diver Down, but does Public Domain come into it? Because some of these are pretty old, like Big Bad Bill and Happy Trails. Would Public Domain factor in on any of those?
Yeah, those wouldn't count as original compositions towards it. Over time, bands get to renegotiate not just the ownership, but the number of tracks that they have to deliver. And it's unclear, because around this era is when the Eddie original composition that wound up in Back to the Future, that we didn't realize until recently was his, and The Wildlife, that was Eddie. So for all we know, there's other stuff that counted towards what he or they had to deliver.
All right. Well, Mr. Duds is saying, man, they could have whipped out anything from like the Gene demos, like Let's Get Rockin', Big Trouble, all sorts of things, as opposed to like Happy Trails or Intruder, or perhaps the next song too. Maybe it's time for one of those covers in at number 10.
I know what this is.
No.
Chaz is no.
Disrespect.
Oh no. Kevin Brown just joined the chat, and he's gonna be shocked this wasn't number 12. It's number 10. Dancing in the Streets. 104 total points. One person ranked this number 2 on their ranking. 6 people ranked this dead last. That's also the most popular place where people put it, was 12th. When the audience ranked this one, they ranked this one dead last out of the non-instrumentals, in at number 9. So, Dancing in the Streets. Let's start with Mark Kmeyer on this one. I know you're a big Dancing in the Street fan. I mentioned somebody had this ranked second. You weren't second, but you were pretty close. You had this number 3.
Yep, number 3. I'd be lying to you if I said that a lot of nostalgia didn't go into play with this ranking, but yeah, like I said, that would be a lie if I told you that, because it did. This is one of those tracks that I remember kind of just like jamming in the car, like with my folks, if we're taking a trip or whatever, like, hey, Van Halen's on the radio, what is it? Oh, Dancing in the Streets. They liked the original, like they liked Dancing in the Streets, so the fact that a cool band like Van Halen would cover it and do a say what you want about it, but I think it's a damn good cover. If you've heard the original, and it's kind of ballsy, really. I mean, of all the covers they could have done, and they have a few on here that are you might think questionable, but yet they all sound really good. I think Dancing in the Streets, this is definitely, to me, the best version of that song. Maybe you just don't like the song because it's Dancing in the Streets and whatever, BS. Cool, that's fine. But I don't know. I really like their version of it. I think because it's just so weird. It's so different. It's not the kind of thing you would expect a band like Van Halen to do, and yet here we are. But I could say that about all the covers on this album, so therefore, here we go. And yeah, so I think the ranking so high for it, for me, is because I genuinely like it, but a lot of nostalgia does go into play for it, and that's why it's my number 3. Just I dig it, man. I dig this song, and I know a lot of people don't.
No, and my ranking was number 9. Actually, it moved up my rankings as I was listening to the record over and over again. I'm like, this isn't as bad as everyone says. The number 2, or the person who put this one second, is our beloved patron Janice Risco. So thank you for spinning rankings, Janice. And number 2. Now let's go to a patron a little less beloved who hates this song. I'm going to read you what Kevin Brown wrote about Dancing in the Street. He gave it a 0 out of 10.
Oh, boy.
If he was ranking it. He said,
Fuck.
this is Kevin Brown, not me. And I quote, "A bigger pile of festering dog shit I can't think of in this catalog. Not just a shitty Van Halen cover, but one of the lamest, most ill-conceived covers of all time. The only worst major artist covers I can think of are Madonna's American Pie, an insufferable cover of a terrible song, and Cher's Walking in Memphis, which is how she pronounces it for some reason, Memphis. I listened to Up for Breakfast on repeat for 4 hours before I listened to this once through. Fuck this song." Wow.
And fuck Kevin Brown for reminding me that a cover of American Pie by Madonna exists. I legit forgot, and I was happy with that. And Kevin, I'm coming for you.
All right. Well,
The earworm has been unleashed.
all right, let's go to Matt
He's
Lacoste
suffering.
now. Matt Lacoste, you're not really a fan of this one either. You had this one ranked number 11.
It's fine. I love Kevin. I think his takes are great, but he's off. I mean, come on. Van Halen covering anything is pretty good to begin with, and I think this is a great cover. Like Kamara was saying, I mean, it's faithful to the original. Roth sings his ass off. The scream before the solo is really cool, just fucking cool. But then you get into the story about the Moog and how Eddie had it, kind of thought for a different song, and then they repositioned it for this, and he had to kind of go along with Dave and Ted Templeman, I believe, to make it this song. So he's kind of strong-armed into it. And from that standpoint, that's why I keep it low. The song's fine. I like Dancing in the Streets. I like all the covers of this song. It's a wonderful track, and it's fine. It's one of those that just kind of fits in. It doesn't put me into the pits of despair like Kevin Brown. Like, that's crazy. It's fine. But the fact that Eddie was strong-armed into it and hated it kind of makes me want to throw it down to the bottom a little bit. That's
Fair
all.
enough. All right. Well, Darren Paltrowitz, you're one of the folks who thinks this is a upper level diver down. You put this one at number 3.
Rather than talking about what a piece of garbage Diver Down is, I have a theoretical for all of you. So I have neighbors who are blasting the Scorpions, and now it's Motley Crue. You don't ask for a noise complaint on that, right? You just let them go because it's the Scorpions and Motley Crue, right?
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I have to say about the cover of Dancing in the Street.
Fair enough.
Which is
Not going to call
Well,
the
you
cops
better
on
hope
him.
Kevin
Okay.
Brown isn't your neighbor.
Fuck.
if Kevin Brown's in your neighbor, you should reevaluate your own situation probably. But take responsibility for your own situation if that guy's living next to you.
That's right.
Although I 100% agree with his take, actually.
All right. Well, Chris, you want to finish up your thought on Dancing with the Street? I believe you had this one dead last, didn't you?
Yes, this is for me far and away the worst song in the entire DLR catalog of Van Halen. Just unnecessary. And I also got to say, I've seen a lot of things in my life. I've heard a lot of things in my life. Tonight, I heard the word ballsy used to describe the song. Never in a million years did I think that would ever be associated with each other. I'm completely flabbergasted by that at this point.
You're welcome.
Oh, and by the way, Mark, the one time I jammed Van Halen with my parents in the car, Sinner's Swing came on, and when Dave said she looked so fucking good, I think I got grounded for a week after that. So
Worth
I
it,
would have
sir.
preferred Sinner Swing if we're being honest, but
yes.
Who
But
wouldn't?
no, it's just unnecessary, and coming from originally a Kiss podcast, I'm going to compare this to Kiss's cover of "Then She Kissed Me," which is, on Love Gun. It's like, you know what, guys, the girl groups nailed it with their first attempt at it. You're not going to do better. You're going to look
Right.
ridiculous trying to cover it. So just don't do it. That would
Damn.
be my advice. And
Forgot about that one.
yeah, and
Gene said bet.
right.
Yeah,
so-
no, he did.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan, needless to say, and yeah, that's it.
That is a great comparison to Then She Kissed Me. I like Dancing in the Street a little better than Then She Kissed Me, but that's just me. Kelsey, you had this one, was it 9th, I think?
Yeah, sorry, I was
8th.
blocking Kevin Brown on Twitter.
I don't blame you.
No, there you go.
And
Again, you're blocking
I've
him
already,
again?
I've already threatened him once, but now it just makes more sense.
and to further Chris L's point, if you're living next door to Kevin Brown, you're living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which you do
I
not
was
want to
about
be.
to say,
nobody
you're the
wants to live
closest
What
neighbor.
happens, dude?
for-
He's not here. He can't defend himself. So
Making your lawn turn brown is the least of your worries when Kevin Brown lives next door.
hot take, I love this song. I'm not even gonna lie. I think the song is groovy as hell, and I think David sounds awesome. And I mean, like, but yeah, sometimes I throw this on in the car and I'm just like, okay. There was a period where I was listening to it for a little bit. So will I defend the song? No, but I do love this song. Yeah, so
All right, let's go to the chat real quick. Eddie Van Trollen has this one number 4, so up there pretty high for him. Our good buddy Scott Everett says it's the popular thing to hate on this. Love it and still think it is the best version ever recorded of this song, which got a big thumbs up from Eddie Van Trollen. Kevin Brown is in the chat and says, yeah, I'm sure there's some of that. For me, I've always thought it was utter crap and couldn't believe it was on a Van Halen album. Jeff Brewer says, bad idea, but great solo. Tara Marbuster says there are things to like in it. The sum of its parts don't quite work, but he also digs the solo. My new best friend, Mr. Duds 1984, says if you listen to Dancing without the vocals, this cooks. Great drum sound and excellent Ed solo.
What?
He had it 6th, and Al does play a great cowbell ride on this one. So
That's ironic because I feel like Dave sounds really good singing this, but
Great.
Yeah.
well,
That
Eric,
scream, come on. The tritone
Yeah.
comes right through. Yeah.
Eric Senich from Booked on Rock in the Van Halen News Desk is in the chat. He says, just tuning in and I'm hearing all this hate for Dancing in the Street. Come on, guys. I love this song. This confirms
Hey.
to me that Kelsey is a genius. So there you go.
she had it at number
do
9.
what I can. I do what I can. No, it was not 9.
it was 8. It was 8.
Oh, it was
No,
8.
it
Go to sleep, Eric. Go to sleep.
Was it?
Yeah,
It
I
might
think
have been.
you had it 8.
I was about to say
Kelsey.
it was.
Now
wasn't it?
thinking about it, I would probably put it higher than the few songs I have before it. But I do, yeah. I'll explain the other ones later.
All right. Chaz Charles, you're next on Dance in the Street. You had this one, number 5.
I did, and it's because it's one of the covers, so you'll notice a trend in my list as we get through it. But you know what? This one I loved it for. I'm going to ignore all the comments I heard and just speak to why I loved it. Okay. It crossed generations, right? It actually made me connect with my parents when they heard it, right? It kind of threw them off the scent of what Van Halen really was because they're like, oh, any band who's covering Dancing in the Street must be okay because they like Martha and the Vandells, right? So they were all into that. So it was cool. It was kind of a way for me to connect at a time when I was really kind of moving away from my parents. So if I'm being, in all honesty, that was really one of the sentimental attachments that I have to it. But, beyond that, man, I thought it was another really inspired choice of a song. And this is one of those instances where I think the people around Eddie were more right than he was. Okay. I just think it was one of those calls. I think it was a really good choice, right place, right time. Bottom line is with the music itself, right? What he was doing with the synthesizer, it was a very distinctive riff, regardless of the song that they used it on. Just, showing again what he could do with different sounds beyond the guitar. So for me, it was like a showpiece case. It kind of, connected me in a way that I didn't fucking expect, right? So, for that, for me, it ranks at 5 again, just because it's a cover and there are some really other interesting songs on this record. So,
All right, Johnny Bean, you got the final word on this one. You had Dancing in the Street ranked number 11.
Yeah. Some of these songs I've heard, a little too many times. So yeah, that one I put at 11. I actually have a mono promotional 45 of the song right here. I dug
Ooh,
out
very
just to
nice.
show you guys.
hell yeah.
It actually, you might want to listen to it in mono and re-rank
Whoa.
re-rank the song. Now, when I listen to it, one of the things I love about it is I'm a huge fan of Edward Van Halen's piano stuff and his keyboard playing. And when I would read the interviews where he would talk about how that was being worked up as an original tune, but they used it for a cover, it kind of makes you listen to it differently. You kind of think, oh, but this could have been like an original Van Halen song. Like if you imagine those vocals weren't there, you can kind of imagine it being like just a totally different Van Halen tune. So that's kind of, when I listen to it. But I will say, during the US Festival, they played this song, but Edward played the guitar on it. He didn't play the keyboard.
Right.
So anyway, number 11.
Number 11. And number 10 in our
Yeah,
official
we played
rankings.
it. No, we played it and used it without a keyboard and played it with the guitar. It was, well received.
All right, we're coming up to number 9 now. Kevin Brown says, Pretty Woman better be next.
Shut
Bro,
your
get
mouth,
out
Kevin.
of here.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's not.
No.
It's time to visit our old friend, Big Bad Bill. He's Sweet William now. That's coming in at number 9. 127 points.
There's a Sean McGinnity out there crying out in pain.
And you know what? Sean McGinnity didn't even have this first, but 2 people did have Big Bad Bill at number 1. 5 people had this at number 11. That's also the most popular spot people put it at was number 11. The audience ranked this one number 6 back in the day. What was the... let's take a look here. Big Bad Bill was 83.4% What Dreams Are Made Of, 16.6% The Dream Is Over, or pretty close to what Bohemian Rhapsody is currently polling at on the Seaside Pod Review poll. And Panama actually is currently at 92 in our repoll. Hopefully we can keep that higher than what Big Bad Bill is coming in at here. Let's start with Mark Meyer on this one. Big Bad Bill is Sweet William now. You had this one ranked number 7.
How in God's name was this voted ahead of Dancing in the Street? Are you kidding me? Like, I have to imagine the reason being is not so much how the songs are presented, but rather the story behind them. I think, like as Matt was saying, Dancing in the Street's got to come down lower because of how he felt Eddie was feeling about that song, how he kind of got strong-armed into doing it and didn't want to do it, so that makes the enjoyment of listening to it kind of sink. And I know we talked a lot about on Big Bad Bill just the inclusion of Eddie and Alex's father. And so it's like a family affair in this one, and it's fun, and it gives you that sense of whimsy. And so I can only assume that's the reason why people voted this so high, because otherwise I don't understand. I don't understand how Big Bad Bill gets voted higher than something like Dancing in the Street or any of it. I don't know. I'm confused. I know I had this as my number 7, but I mean that's only because it had to go above a few other tracks. But I still would not have put this above Dancing in the Streets, man. Like, I know y'all hate that cover, but you think Big Bad Bill's better than that? I don't know. Somebody else. I need a perspective. Who voted this number 1, Corey?
Oh, let me see here. Big Bad Bill, number
Oh,
1.
no.
Chad Pollock. Patreon Chad Pollock had this one number 1. You know who else had this at number 7 with you, Mark, though, was Kevin Brown. He said, good fun, an obvious homage back to their dad and his roots, and amplified by his contribution to it. Dave sings this shit really well, and that's something that Eric Senich pointed out, too, in the track. Love Dave's vocals on this track. Chaz Charles, Big Bad Bill, you had number 10.
Yeah, but it just needed to go somewhere, and the novelty of the track for me, very sentimental for the reason, Jan's on it and just the whole feel of it. I mean, yes, I agree. Dave sings the shit out of this. This is totally in the wheelhouse of the crooner, right? And that whole persona is, and it's just really a sweet little thing that they did with their dad. What's not to love?
Exactly. Scott Everett says Mark nailed it. Also, the story of Jan being on it probably gives it a notch up sentimentally. Eddie Van Trollen says Big Bad Bill is my number 3. Love the jazzy sound, lyrics, and the fact Ed and Elle's father guest starred. That clarinet solo is awesome. Kelsey, when it comes to Big Bad Bill, were you on the Big Bad Bill show back in the day?
I was.
Yeah, I thought so. You had this
I
one
was.
number 10.
Yeah, well, just to add, I love the way David sounds in this. I love when he uses this register. He sounds so sexy, and I love it when he's not like I love his usual tone, but this not screaming. I'm just like, baby, you could tell me whatever you want in that voice. I swear to God. But no, I love this. I loved when we did it on the show. It gave me like a new perspective on the song, and I like this song. Just like it's ranked so low in mine because like A, it had to go somewhere, and B, it's just not like what I think of when I think Van Halen. But I love this song because you don't get to hear everybody like this. Like this is a very particular song. Like everyone's super chill, and it's just like they're all tied in together, but so like relaxed. And so yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good banger. So
There you go. Johnny Bean, you had this one ranked number 8 as well.
Cool. Yeah, I think again having their father on the track makes it very special, but also more importantly, it shows you a totally different side of Van Halen that you never would have expected. Like you can play that for anybody who's never heard it, and maybe they'll know it's Van Halen because of Roth's vocal. Other than that, you would never know it's them, and that shows you how great musicians they are.
Well, and doesn't it put you back on the boat with them coming over, right? In that whole era where they're playing with their father and they're in their band, and that's what
Mhm.
that's probably the kind of music they were playing together, right? When they were making a living as
Mhm.
a band, right? Working as musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris L., Big Bad Bill was number 10 on your rankings.
Yeah. It's another one kind of like Happy Trails where you get the album, you're looking at the liner notes and you see the name of their father play clarinet on Big Bad Bill is Sweet William Now. So you're like, okay, that's interesting. I'll give that a listen. You listen to it. Okay, that's pretty cool that they brought their dad in. They're doing something different. Little humor there, whimsy, as other people have said. Great. After that, do you really need to listen to it ever again? I didn't. That was one of the beautiful things about CDs coming along is you could just click a button and get past songs like this, and I'm going to name drop here because frankly, what's the point of knowing famous people if you can't name drop? But in one of our text exchanges, the one and only Chris Jericho has proclaimed this as the worst song of the DLR era. So
Interesting.
I
Oh,
won't
fuck
go.
that guy.
Okay, I won't go that far, but like I said, it's like Happy Trails. Okay, fun, interesting that you did it. Zero reason to listen to that song a second or subsequent any other times.
Darren Paltrowitz, do you want to pick a fight with Chris Jericho? You had this one ranked number 5.
I actually can, and we'll save that for the off the air, even though there's the Jericho poster from a cruise back there. What I do like about this track is that they got their father in there. It's wonderful that they had that collaborative opportunity. But more important than that, the last 3 songs played by my neighbors were Too Young to Fall in Love by Motley Crue, Wanted Man, and Round and Round by Rat. I still don't think you call the
Rat,
Florida the
let's
cops.
go.
Right? It's a good
No,
neighbor.
not on Rat.
No.
Not on Rat. No.
That's my contribution.
They're kind of pushing the limit on Motley Crue though, because of the whole Mick Mars thing. So you got to cut them off. They got to learn a lesson.
Agreed, but Jericho is wrong about that, Chris. Sorry, he's wrong.
If your neighbors start playing Dogs of War, burn the complex to the ground.
Done.
Okay. And Matt Lacoste, you get the final word on this one. Big Bad Bill was number 8 on your rankings.
All right, just real quick. Like, I like Jericho, the podcaster, but I've seen his band. He sucks. Straight up.
Oh,
Damn.
okay.
2.
Not a
Big
Fozzy
Bad Bill
fan, huh?
is, to me, so listenable. It's so accessible and it's fun and it's weird. And that's kind of what brought me into this band a little bit. When I got this album as a kid, I was like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, I didn't realize it was a cover till, I don't know, sometime later. And yeah, Roth kind of just does his jazzy blah blah bullshit thing, and like, you know, Jan is on it doing the clarinet like an Eddie Van Halen solo. It's cool. It's just a cool, silly song that is actually, I don't know, I never skip it. I love it. But I don't seek it. But when I'm doing Diver Down and I go front to back, I do not skip this song. It's fun. It's still low for me on the rankings, but at this point, I love them all. So yeah, I like this.
I'll tell you what, Chaz got so afraid that Jericho might show up and lay the smackdown on Matt Lacoste. He went back to his Chazatar persona.
That ain't me, man. That ain't me, man.
I ain't
would,
worried. Trust me
I
on
would-
that. I ain't worried.
On behalf of him, I would do his usual retort to comments like this, but there is a lady present, so I'm not gonna go there.
Whatever.
it's
He
a-
sings to a track. It's
It's
a
a-
thing.
It's
Real.
a forward shot, and yeah.
He doesn't sing.
Oh, we're not getting into the Sebastian Bach playing to the track, all that kind of stuff. That's a
Oh,
different podcast.
oh.
That's a different podcast. I just want to talk about Sean McGinnity real quick because he has a real emotional connection to Big Bad Bill. And he had mentioned they had done a ranking show, him and his brother Todd, and the legendary Eric Senich on Diver Down. And I believe on that show he put Big Bad Bill 1 because that song meant a lot to him and his own father. And I guess he took a ton of shit from Van Halen fans. And Mark and I can attest, there's a section of Van Halen fandom that can be quite vocal and also quite mean. So I feel bad for Sean. He did a re-ranking where he's trying to kind of level the field a little bit. And he put Big Bad Bill number 4 on his re-rank. But I say if you love Big Bad Bill and it has emotional connection to you, fuck the haters. I don't believe in guilty pleasures. If you love something, love it unabashedly. And if people don't like it, just go eat a bag of dicks.
Damn right.
Okay, now I can interject what Jericho would say: "Go fuck your ass."
There you
so
go.
there you go. It's the same retort, same spirit.
Yeah. So smart.
I mean, yeah. If you like it, of course, yeah. But that's the fun of this format, and quite frankly, this album is this is probably the most polarizing Van Halen album. So you're gonna get some clashing opinions. That's the fun of it.
So that's the best
that's if
part
you don't
about this
consider-
album.
Say what?
Go
I
ahead.
turned my rankings in like 2 weeks ago, and I started listening to it since, and I've changed it like 5 times. This album is so weird.
It is, and my if I was to rank them today, there'd be some differences too. It's definitely a strange one.
Yeah, mine was
I don't know
actually
if
the
it's
last
most
rankings.
polarizing. I think it's most polarizing for the eras that don't regard Van Halen 3 as a Van Halen
Well,
release.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. If I said most polarizing, I don't. Van Halen 3 is like what Stalin or whoever got written out of Russian history. That's like my equivalent.
They
there.
not Van Halen.
I don't even acknowledge its existence
You,
off the top.
you heard
of
it
my
here.
head.
But Van
That's what I
Halen
was
3
saying.
is the Stalin of the
The Stalin
catalog,
of the
according to
catalog.
Chris.
There's a pull quote. We're going to put that on the thumbnail for the Van Halen 3 live show.
Go for it. What's mine is yours.
There, thank you very much, sir. And just real quick for Kelsey, she was just at a bachelorette party in Nashville. So I don't think there's
Oh,
nothing
boy.
she hasn't heard.
Yeah, I'll bet. Jeez.
Yeah. I'll just
Ugh.
leave
You're
it
on
at that.
Broadway,
One of
I'm
those
sure
pedal
you've heard
bars,
some things.
riding
Bruh.
pedal bars around town. Yeah.
Bro, if anyone saw my no, we didn't do that. Thank God. I would have dipped. I would have left. That was my limit. No, if anyone saw the pictures that I posted, I was like, I walked by someone yelled out of a car that he loved me. He was like, I love you. I was like, okay.
Was it Mark?
No, he would have been
they
like,
were
what the fuck are
shouting.
you doing here? You
Listen,
didn't
Mark.
tell me.
They were shouting at me. Kelsey was just in the
Oh,
way. But
I
was,
see.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That is correct.
that's,
It's hilarious.
they
All right.
they can't get enough. Yeah.
Well, I'll do my best, Casey. Let's get back to the countdown. We're going down in number 8 now. Geez, I think it's time for another instrumental. That's right. That can only mean one thing. It's Cathedral coming in at number 8. Like I said, 8, 7, and 6 were separated by 3 total points. At one point, Cathedral got as high as number 6, but it ended up being at number 8, 150 points. 2 people had this ranked 3rd on the album. 1 person had this ranked dead last. The most votes it got was in the 8 hole and the 7 hole. 5 people each. Of course, the audience didn't rank this one because it's an instrumental. Folks, Cathedral. Let's start with Darren Paltrowitz. What are your thoughts on this one?
Waste of time. But by the way, my neighbors have changed over to country music. So
Burn it to the
Call
ground.
the police now.
Okay.
Call
Yeah, if
immediately.
any
No, wait, who
Luke
is that?
Luke Bryan comes on, put a stop to it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Who is
No
it?
Uncle Luke just yet, but your assessments so far have been dead on, all of you, and thank you very much.
All right, Kelsey, Cathedral. Yeah, this one number 7.
Yeah, I love the song. It's very, I don't know. I love his little well, the delay is amazing. First of all, it's magical. Like, I feel like I'm on a different planet when I hear this song, and I love hearing this side of Eddie. Like, I could just sit and listen to just Eddie all day. So I'm a little biased, but yeah, I do love this song.
All right, Johnny, I think you had a Cathedral number 6, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a guitar player myself, and I love the just the technique, how he came up with that. And actually, if you listen to Fair Warning, like bootlegs, you can hear him playing this during his solo section during Fair Warning, but it's actually more darker. It's more like eerie sounding. But yeah, very cool. I mean, it's another side of Van Halen, which is great.
Awesome. Mark Kameyer and Lydia, I believe that is with you as well, right?
Yeah.
Number 9 for Cathedral.
Yeah, she likes to be on the show. Yeah, it's number 9. It's my highest ranked of the instrumentals. I really like what Eddie's doing on the keys for this thing, and it's just it is kind of this sort of otherworldly, ethereal kind of feel to it. Very very odd, and it's weird to say, but I feel like this is sort of the wild card in an album full of kind of weird wild cards, and it's like, just in the sense of none of them really sound like typical Van Halens to me. Like, even the covers, I mean, the covers do sound like Van Halen, but not in the typical sense, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But I like Cathedral. It's low on the list just because it's an instrumental, but it is the highest ranked for me. It's number 9, so I mean, it's not that far from where it ended up on the list there, but nothing bad to say about it. It's just a instrumental track, but a good one.
All right, Chris Sell, you're a guitar player as well. You had Cathedral ranked at number 8.
Yeah, I had it in the middle of the 3 instrumentals. Yeah, I remember when it came out. It was cool. It was different. I liked very appropriately named. I think they picked a great title for it. One of my biggest regrets in life is right around the time when Diver Down came out that I didn't buy stock in a guitar volume knob company, because of all the guitar nerds out there trying to play it and either breaking the volume knob outright or just simply wearing it out with just doing constant volumes up and down throughout the whole thing. So yeah, it was kind of different. You didn't really see that too much with the hyper working with the volume knob, and it was just another thing where it's like, this guy's the greatest guitar player in the world, and he's proving it again.
Amen. Matt Lacoste, number 6 on your rankings.
Yeah. Of the Eddie instrumentals, it's Eruption, Spanish Fly, and Cathedral for me. And anytime, any live show, and been to many Van Halen shows, when he does Cathedral in the middle of his solo, that's the moment where I like to sit and and really, really pay attention, because I don't know, at that point, when I got this, I didn't realize that was guitar, even though it was however he does that is a thing, and it's like, how do you make that sound happen? And the title's perfect, like you said. It's I put it at 6. Yeah, I'm good with it. I love it. Love
Right.
it.
Well, Chaz, along with our good friend Sean McGinnity, you're the two guys who put Cathedral at number 2. Sorry, 3rd.
Yeah, I put this at 3rd. As Matt just said, we're very closely aligned on this one. For me, it's Eruption, Cathedral, 316, Spanish Fly. So, I mean, in terms of and for me, this is top 10 Edward compositions of all time, precisely for what Matt said, what he did with it live. That's when you would witness the sheer just, brilliance of Edward the musician, and that goes across, and transcends the rock star, transcends the finger tapping. It really was an innovative technique at the time. I think the only other guy that was kind of known for it, and I remember hearing it and thinking it was Yes. So it's like, it's kind of like Steve Howe kind of vibe to it that just kind of went to that place that only Edward Van Halen could then take that, like he did with all of his influences, right? So for me, it's ethereal. It's just incredibly otherworldly, that what he was doing, and the speed with which, yes, I've put the speed knobs in my guitars as well. So I definitely have done that in the effort of trying to do this, but and I feel incredible when I get close. I don't think I've ever done it. It's like a few songs. I'm not going to nail it perfectly like Eruption, but when you get close and you're doing that, it's just, there's the hair on your arm just like stands up, just like he said, in front of a loud amp. Same feeling.
Well, Jeff Brewer says it froze up his volume knob, trying to replicate it. And Scott Everett says, as a non-guitar player, I have no clue what that means, but I just amazed when I saw it live. And I wish I could have seen it live.
Yeah, you can get EVH speed pots now. They sell them.
Okay.
So Wolfie's selling them.
Darren Paltrowitz, number 11 on your rankings. This is the second lowest instrumental on your ballot.
Yeah.
What are your neighbors playing now?
Stop. I just hear loud bantering. It's that point where
The police, they're over there right now.
I'd rather hear the Police. I mean, one of the greatest power trios of all time. But,
There you go.
Yes.
I don't know. I might
Popo.
rather hear Cathedral than them talking.
Fuck.
That
Fair
probably
knowh.
makes sense. Yeah.
Also,
I saw Matt
Knowing
Lacoste
what I
It's
leave
a
know
the-
about
low
your neighbors.
barrier, Darren.
Yeah, knowing what we know about your neighbors, that's not really a hot take. So
Yeah.
Wow. I'm
I was
shocked.
excited when they were playing like Motley Crue and Rat deep cuts, but now then they went to country territory and they've created an enemy over here. I bet they love Diver Down.
Fuck.
Well,
How are you going to handle this, Darren?
A lot of tears. Usually a lot of tears.
when I saw Matt Lacoste leave the shot there, I thought Jericho showed up at his house, was ringing the doorbell like.
To meet him. I was going to take him out. Yeah.
All right, Kelsey, you get the final word on this one. Cathedral, you had number 7.
Wait, I thought I talked about this. Did I talk about
Did
this
you?
already?
I don't know. I kind of lost place. I was hoping somebody could help me out here.
Well, I will add
He
that
just defaults to
ethereal-
you.
Listen.
He's showing his bias here.
Hey, y'all want to hear me? Just ask. Ethereal was a really good word for it. I heard Chaz say that, and I was like, that's exactly what I think. But yeah, this feels like I'm stoned watching like one of those like color sensory things. It's a
Right
banger,
on.
and I love
Right
Eddie.
on.
So you know what I'm gonna say.
All right, did I miss anyone? Did everyone get to speak on Cathedral?
I think you're good.
I think we're good. All right, let's move on to number 7 then. Oh, this is an interesting one. Let's just get it going here. Oh, it's the sounds of a tiny, tiny little guitar, specifically the intro to Tiny Guitars. This is one of those tracks that Darren pointed out, probably separated so that they could get the full publishing for the album. Little Guitar's intro, 151 points, just 1 point above Cathedral. Like I said, 6, 7, 8, swapped around a lot. 3 people had this ranked as the second best song on the record. 2 people had this ranked as the worst song on the record. It finished the most at number 7, And of course, the audience did not rank this one. So we're going to start with Matt Lacoste. Matt Lacoste, the Little Guitars intro. What are your thoughts?
So I don't consider this an Eddie composition like I do Cathedral. I consider this the intro to Little Guitars because it's called Little Guitars Intro. And I understand our format, and it's going to be no surprise later, but I cannot include Little Guitars without the intro. To me, those two are together unlike any other two-part song, sorry, in the Van Halen catalog. Little Guitars intro fits Little Guitars like a glove, and it's actually awesome. And the other part of it is like the flamenco playing. It shows a different side of Eddie, where it's just that touch when he gets past that original picking, and it just like bring the way he strums. It's like the dude could do anything, and I don't know. I fucking love it, and it's the introduction to one of my top 5 favorite Van Halen songs of all time. So it's higher.
Perfect. Yeah. Chaz Attar, you had this one number 7.
Yeah, it's because it had to fall somewhere, man. And again, I what has been said already, just the beautiful, classical guitar playing, the fact that he composed that and then he performed it, and it's, Eddie fucking Van Halen, right? So I think someone said it before, like this album is full of a lot of things that you wouldn't expect from Van Halen. Right. And so this is just another one that kind of really showcases the musicality, the technical skill. It's just a quick little demonstration, regardless of where the hell it falls. I'm kind of with you. I like it just being perfect right where it is, leading into Little Guitars. I wouldn't separate them, so I respect why they did it. But for me, you'll find my rankings are going to make this, and 7 and 6 are basically just where this one belongs for me because it's a great track.
Well, our good buddy Kevin Brown had this number 4. He gave it an 8 out of 10 and says, sometimes you just want to hear Eddie Van Halen play his guitar without anything at all getting in the way. And he plays it in an unfamiliar style as if he's been playing flamenco all his life. His tone, phrasing, and rhythmic sensibilities on full display here. Kelsey, would you agree with that sentiment? You had Little Guitars intro all the way down at number 11.
Well, I was gonna say, rare good take from Kevin right there.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
It's his fault. He just showed up. No, I do like this song. I was actually just listening. It sounds like if you guys have ever heard "Damn Good," which I'm sure you all have. The da na 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 na. Like when I first heard Little Guitars intro, I was like, "That's kind of sounds like some else I know." But just that little part, but hearing that I was
good
like,
observation.
it
Yeah,
sounded like
yeah.
that. Well, because I was like, is that what I'm thinking of? Does that sound like Damn Good? But yeah.
That's one of Dave's best songs. Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God. Anyways,
I'm with you.
another podcast.
I'm with you.
But yeah, no, I love hearing Eddie like this. You never get to hear Eddie play acoustic except for Spanish Fly, but and a few others. But yeah, this is I agree with Kevin. Sometimes you just want to hear him play his guitar. But yeah, I love hearing this side of Eddie. So
well, Darren Paltrowitz doesn't agree. He said this was the worst song on Diver Down. Explain yourself, sir.
How many damn instrumentals can you have on an album? It's simple as that, but I think that Little Guitars is the best song. Spoiler alert, I should have said that before, but it's a great lead into a great song. It's just it should not be its own track. Simple as that.
Fair enough. And Kevin Brown, very happy in the chat because Kelsey unblocked him on Twitter. So
for the second time.
We still got like 6 songs to go, so Kevin, you might still get blocked.
There's plenty of time to fuck up.
There's plenty of time.
Don't say anything crazy.
Chris L, you put this 9th. What do you think of the intro to Little Guitars?
Fuck.
Well, Kevin Brown's going to be blocking me on Twitter after I go into what I'm about to say because
me too, probably.
I think his take is way off. First of all, one of the beauties of Michael Anthony and Alex Van Halen being the rhythm section is not once ever did they get in the way of Eddie Van Halen's playing. They sat where they needed to sit. Nobody ever got in the way of Eddie Van Halen's playing. So for that to even come up in discussion is patently ridiculous. So Kevin Brown needs to rethink that one, I think. But to me, this is
He's
like
gonna Google it. He's gonna Google it.
yeah, he is. To me, this was like Spanish Fly Redux. You got the sort of like, nylon string sounding guitar, as someone said, the flamenco style and stuff. And this and Spanish Fly would have been great bonding moments with my mom, because her whole family was from Spain, so she would have been into this. But after the Sinner's Swing debacle, it was not an option anymore for me. So, but yeah, like other people said, and a great observation about how they separated out the songs for a record company and royalty reasons and all that stuff. When the album came out, we were all a lot younger and we didn't think about any of that stuff. But as we get older and look back, it's like, okay, it was rushed out because they needed product, they needed to fill the album, they needed to get this certain ratio to get paid, all this stuff.
That's what I'm saying, Chris. We didn't
Yeah.
we're jaded adults here, right? We're judging it now, but back then I didn't give a shit. Who cares?
Right.
We weren't
We
even
didn't-
cognizant of this.
Right. We didn't know. We listened
no.
to it. And like I said, when I heard it, I was like, oh, cool. This another Spanish Fly thing. Except, well, Spanish Fly, I guess, leading into DOA it's hard to separate the two.
Pretty iconic. Same thing. Yeah.
But I'm with everybody else where it's impossible to separate these two for me. It's just that's the one thing I'll say is similar to Intruder and to Pretty Woman. With their instrumentals, they had really good transitions and it really flowed into the song that followed. So they did put a lot of good thought into that, and then they executed it well.
Well said. Johnny Bean, number 7. You agreed with our rankings, or you put it right where it ended up?
Another great right instrumental by Edward. And yeah, I mean that's the thing is this was one track where he had been listening to a lot of that style of music, and so when he came up with that, he was trying to play what he was listening to and he couldn't, so he had to figure out a way how to do. Is that English? He had to figure out a way how to do what had to be done for the song. And again, you hear the songs on the album and one goes right into the next, but when they played the song live, there was no intro live. He played the intro during his solo section,
Mm-hmm. All right, Mark Meyer, you put this dead last.
I don't think it should have been separated. I think it belonged as a part of the Little Guitars track. I get why they're separated. That's fine. But then what you've done here is essentially you've given me a track that's a full song, and then now a track that is just kind of, just an intro. It's like Intruder. It's fine, but I will say Little Guitars is probably a little bit more necessary than the Intruder intro, really. And it's not a knock on Eddie's guitar playing. Obviously, God, we wouldn't be here if that's the case. But it's because the two are separated. There's just not too much for me that this offers. It does give us a little more insight into Eddie playing a different kind of style of guitar, and that's for sure, and that's cool. But like I said, I just really feel like this belonged to be part of the actual Little Guitars track, but because it's not, it feels like a throwaway, and so for that reason, that's why it's dead last.
Yeah, to your point, Mark, it's like the whole setup of the flamenco into the use of senorita and all through the song, that whole theme. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They can't be separated.
All right. Well, 2 people, as I mentioned, rank this. Sorry, 3 people rank this as high as number 2. One of them is on the panel tonight, Matt Lacoste. One of them also, Steve Dudzik. I'm going to point him out. He's one of the 3 members on Patreon. So even the free members get to submit their rankings. So thank you very much, Steve, for your support and for submitting rankings. And now it's time for number 6. And we're going to start with Johnny, and you're going to find out why when you hear what the song is. That's right. It's Pretty Woman. This is the one Kevin Brown was saying should have been right around 11. But it comes in at number 6, right at the halfway point.
Kevin's insane.
Damn, I got to block him again. That's crazy.
153
I'm gonna
points.
block him.
One person said this was the best song on Diver Down. 3 people said this was the 11th best song on Diver Down. The most popular spot for this one was 9th. The audience ranked this one 7th. Let me just read Kevin Brown's comment on this one, because he ranked this one 11. He gives it a 1 out of 10 and says, David Lee Roth trying to cover one of the greatest singers who ever lived. No, just no. Apparently this is an a cappella. I thought there was a band behind it too, but he's just putting all the blame on David Lee Roth. We're going to start with Johnny Bean, because Johnny, this was your number 1 song on Diver Down.
Yeah. This song, very special to me, because when I started playing the guitar, this is one of the first songs I learned, and I learned the Van Halen version of it. So I've been playing this song for forever. And here's another, I have another promotional mono 45. That's a Pretty Woman right there. Yeah, I mean, it's to me, they just Van Halenized the tune, and it's just, I love it. I love it. You know, I love the way Edward played it. He played it very differently than he made it much more difficult the way he played it than anybody can. Just his fingering is totally, you know, you didn't have to do that, but he did it. And every time I hear this, it takes me back to being 12 years old and just loving Van Halen.
The music's unbelievable. Like, no one can sing like Roy Orbison. I'll agree with Kevin on that one. But in fact, I had this one ranked number 6, kind of right where it is. I really dig this cover. Chaz, Oh Pretty Woman, you put all the way down at number 9.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all the way. Don't say it like that, man.
Sorry.
No. Okay, look. This song is a lot of fun to play. I love it. And they own this song to me. And this is what I'm constantly talking about, or I should say, discussing heatedly with my band, is that this is really a textbook case of how to take a song and make it your own. Right? They really did. As someone said, Van Halenized it. This is just that textbook, like, find a really great song, put your stamp on it, make it unique, make people immediately associate it with you. So this was Dave, just like, this was high octane, the businessman behind the rock star David Lee Roth thinking when they chose these songs, right? And this was, again, really well engineered because of what Eddie could do with the music, because of the basic structure of that song and the way he, approached the guitar, right? So a lot of power in that. So it immediately changed it. And because it's just one of those timeless riffs that you can pick up an acoustic guitar, you can pick up a heavily distorted guitar, but you start jamming this riff, it's immediately just something very musical, and everybody will be struck by it, right? And so it's timeless. So it was a great choice. It only ended up at 9 because there's so many other great fucking songs on the record. So that's only reason why.
Fair enough. But now Mark Kmeyer gets to tell Kevin Brown why he thinks he's wrong. Mark, you had this one number 2.
It was very close to being number 1. And if we had done this rankings probably like hell, even a month ago or something like that, it might have still reached number 1. It didn't. But this song has it's one of those Van Halen songs that's always been around with me. Like, it's just been there. This was the version I heard way before I found out that, oh, they didn't write that. That's Roy Orbison. Like, okay. And to this day, Roy Orbison, no offense to Mr. Orbison himself, but it just doesn't sound as good to me because I'm just so used to the Van Halen flair involved in this cover. And as it's been said, they Van Halenized it, made it their own, as wonderfully eloquently put, as Chaz did. And it's a clear example, and that's why you can call them the greatest cover band in the world ever. And it's like, well, Why would you say that? Here's one example, just one. Oh Pretty Woman it's just, I feel like this is one of those songs, and even though it's not theirs, it feels like it's theirs. It will always, to me, feel like it's theirs, and it's just a fun, cool tune. I love it. It didn't quite make my number one. It got beat out, but it was very, very close. So that's I just love it.
Kelsey, is Kevin blocked on Twitter again?
Yes.
Yes.
You had this number 3.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's his fault. He should be here. No, I love this song. Well, first of all, Eddie they all sound like real sexy in this, and Eddie, like his tone, especially like right in the beginning, like you hear that and you're like, oh my God, here we go. And then David purring and just all the little ad libs he throws in there. Yeah, the song is a banger. Yeah, I feel like I'm in a movie listening to this song, like driving down the road, windows down. Like, yeah, this would definitely be in my soundtrack. This is a great one.
All right, Darren, for a guy who doesn't much care for Diver Down, number 4, does that mean it's a good song or not so much?
I think it's a great cover. A little fun fact is that I was supposed to have an exclusive about 2 months ago where I was interviewing Roy Orbison Jr. and his wife because they had a new album. And it's all geared up to ask what they and their father thought about this cover, but they canceled on a day's notice. We never rescheduled. So we'll try and have that happen in the near future. But more importantly, what does Kevin Brown think of me and my hot takes? Does Kevin Brown like me? Do we know this?
We got to find out.
Nobody cares who Kevin Brown likes.
If Kevin Brown likes me, I'm a big fan of that guy. And if he doesn't, I hate that guy.
Well,
that's weird. I can't find him on Twitter.
Yeah.
We need to know, Kevin, are we cool or are we not cool?
Facetious.
I kind of told Kevin when he's like, everyone's going to be really up in arms about my rankings. Like, no, you're going to be good. Fuck, he's taking a pounding tonight. It's not even.
Yeah, he's like the.
You should be here.
Kevin, I believe in you. If you believe in me, I really believe in you.
Well, and I got to play this sound clip then that I just clipped out from another podcast I did with Kevin.
Or we really look forward to sucking.
That's Kevin Brown looking forward to sucking. I have it on my Roadcaster, and I can play it anytime I want.
We really look forward to sucking.
There you go.
Down someplace in Montana, huh?
Yeah. Kevin Brown loves everyone. Chris L, number 5 for Oh Pretty Woman.
Yeah, I had it the highest of all the covers and then ranked below all the originals. So back in the day, Fair Warning wasn't their biggest seller, but everybody knows that 1981 Invasion tour was just legendary. Okay. Everybody went to it, was like, it's the best rock show I've ever seen. Word was getting around. Anticipation for the new Van Halen album and single were high. And this was the single, and I'm telling you, the first time I heard it on the radio is one of those songs that just exploded out of the speakers. And you're just like, this is great. Okay. I'm totally stoked for Van Halen coming around again. And it was, largely fueled by the excitement of the single. It sounded great on FM radio. One of the interesting things to me is this is one of the most unique blends of Dave and Mike's vocals. Michael Anthony is singing in a lower register than he normally does, and it's just that blend to me is just unlike anything else in the DLR catalog with the band, and I think it sounds great. And I was a big fan of it, and I still enjoy hearing it. And and the other and about the video, I mean, how ironic is it that back in the day, Van Halen refused to show the video because the girl ended up being a guy at the end? Fast forward to the modern times, and they're all about the trans community, the queer community, all that stuff. It's like, well, maybe you should do a little history lesson on this network and realize that they canceled something because there was a transvestite in the video. And it's just so ridiculous that was even banned for that reason or any reason. I mean, just it was so stupid, and everybody was just couldn't believe that they banned the video back then. And it's
Was that the one though with the midgets and the acid and the
Uh-huh.
fucking
Yeah, there's a lot more than that. Yeah.
Little people,
Yeah,
Chaz.
I think you're missing the
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
general idea of that weirdo video. But anyway,
Well, I tell you
Well,
what,
I mean, it was a lot of ingredients went into it, but at the end of the day, back then it was just like the whole thing was just shocking to people.
Fucking
And,
Bruce Jenner can go on there these days,
That's
fucking
what I
hang
mean.
out,
It's
right?
like you're
shit.
just watching, and any normal person would be like, okay, this is definitely weird, but it's funny. You don't ban something like this,
Right? Yeah.
MTV
It's not
loved.
ban worthy. Yeah.
Oh, they love
Come
banning
on,
videos.
Three's
though.
Company is a fucking TV show. I mean, the recurring character, Larry, dressing up as a woman all the time.
that
Well,
video,
right?
no,
Jack,
that
you know,
video
come on.
is fucked up. It's like a weirdo kind of rapey situation.
It
There's a
is,
bunch of
it
shit
is.
going on in that thing.
There's a
is.
lot
I don't
of
know.
There's a lot
dicey
that's not
stuff
correct.
going on,
Yes.
but
Yes.
whatever. Is this
Yeah.
a rock and roll?
Rapey is a good
channel?
word. You're right. It's a rape
Yeah.
culture kind of
It's
video.
fucking
It is.
weird.
It's fucked up.
Ugh.
It is fucked up.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? MTV banned the video for Bitch School by Spinal Tap, and that's clearly about dog training. So I have,
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
Smell
And
the glove, Corey.
now they glorify teen pregnancy. So I mean, there's just no rhyme or reason
Right?
to what's going on
my
MTV over the decades.
They
It's
also
ridiculous.
banned the video for A Little Ain't Enough by David Lee Roth. I mean, it only has little people in blackface. I mean,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
about that?
I mean,
That is
Little
a-
people.
That's another
Little
one.
people.
just harkening
damn.
back to the vaudeville era. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah,
He
Al
does have a
Jolson's
thing
great.
with the little people, though. He does.
He does.
Ever since he left, yeah.
Yeah,
He
wasn't there
does,
security
and-
midgets?
They're everything. Yes. Well, it
Little
brought the algae brought the Jack Daniels out at the fucking Us Festival, right?
Look, we
Yeah.
don't kink
Dave
shame.
is
and
an
Dave was
equal
kinky.
opportunity offender. He does not.
Did you see the
Doesn't
video
give a fuck.
for his Jenny that he just put on YouTube with the dismembered mannequin heads? Like, I was watching
What?
that on my phone, and my
No.
wife walks by and goes, "What the fuck is that?" Like,
He's clearly going through.
yeah, it's
That's
David Lee Roth.
something.
David-
I
Oh,
may
it's
or may not.
senility. It's called
THC
senility.
psychosis, and he's got too
It's-
much weed.
It's, it's
I-
That too.
dementia.
Yes.
Yes.
I may or may not know a person that Dave asked to order mannequins. I think a dozen
Oh.
mannequins within the last year and a half. I may or may not know that person. I
That's
can't-
funny.
Yeah, because
Nor
when I
did
think
not.
of
Getting use out of him.
And they're probably all at his place in Pasadena, right? They're
Yeah.
probably all in the backyard or in the basement, right? Or in the fucking living room. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a weird
yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My string just broke. My nose is running. I'm angry. My girlfriend just ran off with two, not one guy.
two. I don't know how that makes it better, but it did to Dave. Matt Lacoste, let's give you the final word.
The two guys were mannequins.
The two guys.
Boy, did we go off on a fucking tangent.
That's funny. No, that's great. That's classic Dave. That's
Yeah.
classic Dave.
No,
Number
it's a
10.
goddamn travesty. So at the end of the day, this man needs to be cut off. It's such a bummer. I'll go with what Kelsey said before, and I believe what Chaz said before. Like the tone of this song, ripping through the radio, it's incredible. It sounds so good,
Mhm.
and it's a great, great, great cover of a great song. Right? You've got all the Van Halen out front, right? You've got the Eddie, you've got David singing his ass off, doing something that works in his range, and then you've got the background vocals, the whole thing. But to me, it's still not the best cover on the album. The travesty is, I think this is their highest charting single of all time. I think this did better than Jump.
Jump hit number one. I don't think. Oh, Pretty Woman did not.
Okay, so it was
Right.
Pretty Woman until Jump.
Yeah.
And that's what bummed Eddie out, right? That was the thing. Like he's like, what the fuck do I have to do to get something? I got to cover Roy Orbison, I
Well,
guess.
that's it.
So,
Yeah. That
Yeah,
great
so-
video of him taking the guy from MTV down into 5150 and talking about why he's got the studio because he hates his fucking record, all that.
that's right. Yep. So that's why it's low on my rankings. But again, it's a great cover. That's all I got.
All right, time now for number 5. Everyone loves their covers. Let's listen to another one here. That's right. Little Kinks action for you here on a Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. Where have all the good times gone? 177 total points, coming in at number 5. When our audience ranking came in, Where Have All the Good Times Gone was number 3. Its highest ranking was first. 3 people ranked this as the best song on Diver Down. 1 person ranked this 10th. Like I said, all over the place. It got 4 votes at 9th, 4 votes at 8th, 4 votes at 7th, and 4 votes at 6th. So Where Have All the Good Times Gone eventually comes in here at number 5. Why don't we start with Kelsey on this one? Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Number 9 in your rankings.
Damn, you had to do me like that, huh? I don't really like this song. I'm not even gonna front. But I do like the tone, and I do like I think everyone like sounds good. I just don't really like it I don't know if it's I don't know. I just don't really like that much, but I think Eddie, his tone like makes the song. I think it sounds so good, and it's so like, you know, like I don't even know the word for it, but yeah, it's not one of my favorites, and I think there's much better on this album, but that's just me.
Maybe you're just not a Kinks fan. I know Kevin Brown is a big Kinks fan. He said on this one,
Of course he is.
he gave this one an 8 out of 10. He ranked it number 3 on the record. He said Van Halen are the only band who can cover the Kinks properly. The only cover that belongs on this album. Maybe if they'd just done one side Kinks covers and one side originals, it would have been a concept album and all the better for it. Chaz, you're nodding your head. Do you agree with Kevin Brown?
Fuck, I agree with Kevin Brown. Yes, the Kinks and Van Halen are like this. And I really think if there were no Kinks, we'd have a much different Van Halen today. Because so much of what the Davies were doing, and then it's the combination. It's everybody who was in that band. But the sound that they created, Van Halen latched onto that energy and fucking exploded with it. Because it was just exactly what Eddie needed to launch off and do some incredibly pyrotechnic things on the fucking guitar. And like so many people at the time, I mean, like, you know, he was inspired by Billy Gibbons and a bunch of others, but like the real influence of the Kinks really comes out in some of the core, you know, Van Halen that we know from much later. You know, I can take, you know, tracks from 1984 and tracks well into the fucking Hagar era and point back to like a Kinks kind of flavor and an influence. It's always there with him. So it's one of those just things with me that I think the Kinks are very underrated. You know, I put them right up there with Zeppelin, the Stones, the Beatles, in terms of who they were and how they innovated. And I really do believe if it wasn't for them, there'd be a different Van Halen that we'd know today.
All right. Well, Mark Meyer, do you agree with Kevin Brown? You put Where Have All the Good Times Gone at number 1.
That's right.
Wow.
This is where I knew I was. If I didn't lose y'all before, I was gonna lose you.
You're lost. We're
Not
done.
at all. No.
You've had
Speak,
worse
let him
takes.
speak. Let him
You've
speak.
had worse takes, Mark.
Yeah, you have
I
had
love
worse
this
takes.
fucking song.
It can always be worse. It can always be worse. My top 3 were covers, and in defense of myself, those 3 covers that are my top 3 happen to be 3 covers of Van Halen that I think set them apart from anybody else doing cover songs, because, you know, as Chaz loves to say, Van Halen's the best cover band in the world. And the 3 covers, my top 3 that are on this album, I think are really good demonstrations. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? It made it to number 1 for the only reason being, is it the song that makes me bop the most out of the entire catalog? And the short answer is yeah, kind of. I think it's probably, I don't know if it's their strongest cover that they've done, but it's certainly up there for me anyway. And I know Kevin's gonna hate hearing this, but I'm just gonna say it, buddy. This one's way better than the Kinks versions. And I don't hate.
disagree. I don't disagree with you on that.
And that is no knock to the
No.
Kinks. And
No,
Totally.
they own
Chaz
this, though.
brought up
1000%.
yeah, Chaz brought up a really good point. Without the Kinks, what does Van Halen even sound like after that? Because just the inspiration and the influence. But nevertheless, they decided, well, we could do that song, and I'll bet we could probably do it Van Halen style. That's not to say better, but more our style. And then here you go. And in my personal opinion, it is better. It's just it's kind of like it fits the mold of, kind of like Oh Pretty Woman. It fits the mold of the Van Halen sound like sonically, but it's not them. But if you didn't know this was a cover, then you would just, you're like, yeah, that's fun rocker Van Halen. Of course it is. Yes. It's a spectacular cover. It made it to #1 only because it makes me bop the most. I have familial and like nostalgic connections with the other two covers that made it to the top 3, and which is why they're so high. But yeah, if I'm being honest with myself and all of you, this one just makes me jam the most.
Awesome.
Guys, show idea. Covers we would have wanted Van Halen to do.
Oh,
Because
God.
because I would have loved to have heard them do a studio version of Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. Because
Yes.
the live videos are out there, but that would have been a fucking slammer to have on this record. Oh my God.
That's a hard
Summertime
show to
Blues.
do.
Addicted to Love.
Yeah,
Right?
like what
Right?
would
Yeah.
we don't know what they would have sounded like, but I guess
Well, we
could
know the Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. There's versions of that out there, but like
True.
others,
Right.
like other songs.
I like Addicted to Love. What about Wake Me Up Before You Go? Let's get a little wham in there.
Out.
Wham
like
makes
the,
everything
right,
better.
the Robert Palmer
right.
Addicted to Love.
Oh, yeah, well, is there
Mhm.
another?
Something
Yeah,
by
have you seen them play
Scandal.
that before?
Suddenly Last
Yeah.
Summer or something by Scandal. Yeah.
Hungry Like
Huh.
the Wolf. Come on. Would have been brilliant. Johnny
Damn.
Bean,
Actually, that would have been really cool.
right? Little, Andy Taylor.
Yeah,
cover.
actually, down, down, down. Yeah,
All right,
playing
let's get
that.
the train back on the tracks. Johnny Bean, #9. Where have all the good times gone? Are you a big Kinks fan?
I am, although Van Halen introduced me to the Kinks,
Mm.
and I do like the Van Halen versions better. But that's why you can appreciate these songs, because you can hear the originals, and even though these don't sound exactly like them, you can tell they like amplified them. They doubled, or whatever. I mean, it's just, well, for the 80s, they brought it up to speed of what was current at the time. And really quickly, I back in the late 80s, dang, I used to rent 4-track recorders to record demos for my own guitar stuff. And one thing I used to do was I used to listen to Van Halen songs backwards, just to see if I could squeeze more out of the songs. And one thing I discovered is that the very, very beginning to Good Times is actually the very, very ending of Secrets. The part that you hear where it fades in,
Oh yeah,
that's actually Secrets fading out.
that's
Oh,
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a Easter egg. Like, wonder why they did that.
Love it.
That's interesting.
They were stoned in
Never
the
heard that.
studio. Check this out. Hey, all right, yeah, good idea.
Hey, remember that thing you did on Secrets? Let's just
Fuck. And they probably didn't even remember after, right? Like you'd have to point that out. Like, oh, really? Wow,
Probably.
cool.
Yeah.
Chris L, what are your thoughts on the Kinks? Have we ever covered a Kinks song on Pot of Thunder?
I don't think so. No, actually, we haven't. I want to say that want to give a shout out to underrated period in the band's history. 70s Kinks gets a chef's kiss for me. The Wish I Could Fly Like Superman, Catch Me Now I'm Falling, pretty much the whole
Mhm.
low budget album.
Mm.
70s Kinks, hugely underrated. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I think the 60s stuff sounds a little dated and like Dave Clark 5 to some people, and it kind of turns it off. 70s Kinks, if you never delved into it, totally worth it. I had this one 6th. Yeah, 6th. I like it. I like it's got a nice groove in the verses. The thing about it, that, yeah, I'm a jaded old SOB these days, but even back in the day, I kind of picked up on this, whether or not it was, what was really going on, but it just seems so formulaic for them to come with another Kinks cover after You Really Got Me on the first album. To me, it was like they've already been down that road. Why do it again? It's kind of like, when Quiet Riot comes with Mama We're All Crazy Now after hitting
Yeah.
the big time with
Mhm.
Come On Feel the Noise. It's just reeks of like Templeman or whoever getting involved and say, guys, you had some really good success with You Really Got Me 4 years ago. let's pluck another Kink song out of the pile and do it. And like I said, while I like it, it just struck me as a little too been there, done that for me. So that's why I don't have it ranked higher.
I don't disagree with that, but I would have loved to have heard a Van Halen version of like Father Christmas or Low Budget, like you said, or even going back to the 60s, All Day and All the Night. I think would have been a killer Van Halen cover.
Paranoia.
Oh yeah,
Self-Destroyer.
that's a great one, and that's early '80s, Kinks.
Right, yeah, contemporary to Van Halen at the time, right?
Yeah, that whole late '70s, early
Yeah,
80s
I love that
Kinks is
shit.
Underrated stuff. And
Come
that
Dancing.
live album they came out with,
Yes,
can't remember the title of it. Really
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
So,
All right, Matt Lacoste, where have all the good times gone? Number 7 on your rankings.
All right, so there's something about a band doing covers, and when they do covers and they do them differently, that I find fascinating and great. Like Metallica is one of my favorite bands, and when they do a cover, they do it Metallica style, right? They take Diamond Head song and they make it Metallica, so it's different. That's what Van Halen did with Where Have All the Good Times Gone versus You Really Got Me. Like You Really Got Me is faithful to the original. It's just jazzed up, right? It's Van Halenized, but not changed really. Where Have All the Good Times Gone is like almost an original composition based on the original, right? It's totally different. And I don't know. I love the fact that they're that talented to be able to do that and pull it off and then put it on the front album. The first song on this album is this song. So in my rankings, I think I had it 7th, and after listening to it now, I would push this way up to top 3 or 4. I love this song. I think it's a great cover. Yeah, for everything I just said. Yeah, love it.
All right, Darren Paltrowitz, last word on this one. Maybe you know a little history why they went back to the King's Well for Where Have All the Good Times Gone.
I'm assuming what I believe Chris said, that it was the Quiet Riot-itis, although preceded Quiet Riot with well, you had one Kinks hit, go for the second one. But as other people have said, there's so many other Kinks songs that I would have rather heard covered than this one. It's not one of my favorites. I suppose some Van Halen is better than no Van Halen, with the exception to Van Halen 3. So not one of my top ranking tracks. But
the Stalin of the Van Halen catalog.
How many say
what?
Holy shit, are we doing that? Are we just going to call
tagline.
3 Stalin from now on?
I don't see why not, but that how many say why, you can't top that tagline either. So there's just so much material, comedic material, not musical material, that's worthwhile from.
So funny.
You're gonna have to come on the show, Chris. We're gonna have to get you on.
We're doing it in 2 weeks, Chris. If you want to come on the show,
Get my digits from Corey, and I'll make it happen.
We'll do it.
Sweet. 2 weeks from tonight, we're ranking Van Halen 3. Should be a good time.
Shit.
Damn.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Mark Meyer, just so you know,
can you just go 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12?
Yeah.
That's the kickoff of Regarding Van Halen 3.
That's right. Chaz is spinning off and doing a regarding a series on.
We're going to do it.
Yep, should be a lot of fun.
Oh my God.
But Mark, you're not the only person who ranked this one number 1. A couple of your favorite patrons, Janice Risco, again, had this one number 1, as well as your good buddy Per Lineker, long time patron. I think our very first patron actually was Per Lineker. So thank you for all your support, and number 1 for him. So Mark, you're not alone. You're in good company there, at least.
Wunderbar, Per Lineker.
All right, time to reveal the number 4 song. That's right. Comes after a song we've already heard, the instrumental Cathedral. We're getting a little track now called Secrets. 218 points. That's right. The top 4 songs on this record, over 200 points. That's pretty good. 2 people rank this one as the best song off Diver Down. 4 people rank this as the 8th best song on Diver Down. The most votes for this one was 3rd, actually. 6 people ranked this one 3rd. The audience, way back in the day, ranked this one 5th. 85.2% What Dreams Are Made Of. 14.8% The Dream Is Over. So, Secrets. Brad Gould rated this one number 1, patron of ours. Sean McGinnity, our good buddy, had this one number 1. Let's start with Chaz on this one. I know, let's see, Secret's way down at number 8 for you, my friend.
Yeah, and the only reason it's way down again is what I've said before. I'm getting like a broken record, but it's because there's so many others that come after it. But I mean, there's so much to love about this song. I love the ingenuity of the fucking lyrics. I love that he was, took it from fucking Hallmark cards. It's the greatest story, and I love it. And I even love what he did much further, much later, as we all know, with another song called Bullethead, and taking bumper stickers and doing the same damn thing over again. But this is one that I love playing, particularly like on a Sunday morning, and I'll never forget learning it. I was like sitting in the breakfast nook with a little fucking travel guitar, and I just started plucking around because it's one I didn't really ever play much. I remember playing it, when it came out, years later, maybe when I was like 16, 17, because it was like girls liked this song. But learning this one is just such a pleasant thing to play. So it's a fun track, but there are so many others that are great on the record. So had to go somewhere.
Well, it's always great when Kelsey's on the show because she can give us that female perspective. Do girls like Secrets, Kelsey?
Oh my God, I love this song. I'm not even gonna lie. I love David's lyrics. This just how I said, like, this sounds like they just did it. Like, they didn't even plan it. Like, they're just all playing together. Like, I feel like I'm in like a smoky studio, like hearing them just kind of mess around and like just listening to them. Like, I don't know. This song, they don't have anything else that sounds like this song to me. Like, maybe like Push Come to Shove comes a little bit close, but like this song, it's just sexy. And Eddie, I love the solo to the song. I've always said Eddie is a master at writing solos that fit the song, not necessarily like going crazy. This is one of those like a prime example of it. But yeah, this song, he just sounds so effortless. So yeah, I love this song. This is, I think, number 2 for me. So
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Darren Paltrowitz. Kelsey said this song was sexy. Are you touching yourself right now? Okay, good. Hands good. Yeah.
Cannot be unseen. Fuck.
You see something, say something. Courtesy is contagious.
See it, say it, sorted.
Well, whatever it is, it's a cool song. It's just not one of my 25 favorite Van Halen songs, and it definitely sounds different than everything else in the catalog. Definitely agree with Kelsey on that.
Yep, love the Push Comes to Shove comparison too. Matt Lacoste, Secret. By the way, number 6, I believe, for you, Darren. Number 5, I believe, for Mr. Lacoste. Tell us about it.
It's 5. I think it's one of Roth's best singing performances. It drives me crazy when people talk about David Lee Roth and like he doesn't sing. It's like, no, he actually does, and this is a singing song. He sings the shit out of this, and he does really well. It's one of the only ballads they've ever done, if we want to call it a ballad. Like David Lee Roth era, it's I'll Wait, it's Secrets. Push Comes to Shove. Is that a ballad? That is not a ballad. I don't, this is the only one that even comes close. It's Wistful. He wrote it from lines from greeting cards he picked up all over the nation, apparently. And then when you look at the lyrics, that bears out. And then the other part of it, the US Festival, when you look at the US Festival footage, it's a shit show. Like, I get it. They played to 1 million people, but that show, they were wasted. It's not great. But this song live, they kill it. They kill it. Yeah, I love Secrets. It's where it should be for me. Yep.
All right, Chris L., you had this ranked one spot above where it ended up. You had this number 3.
Yeah. I've got all the originals as the top 4 songs, and like 2 through 4 could be kind of interchangeable. This is one that, like, after I submitted my rankings, I might have ranked it a little differently. Yeah, it's like everybody said, it's just unlike anything else in the Van Halen catalog. It's, like Kelsey said, closest to Push Comes to Shove, but Push Comes to Shove is a darker song. This is like a bouncy, sort of upbeat yet mellow song, and great performances from everybody. And it's just, you could easily, based on my takes on these episodes, that you could easily pigeonhole me as an enemy of lighter Van Halen material, but not in this case. I mean, this is one of my favorites. And to what Matt just said, Van Halen Diver Down Tour was my first concert ever, summer of 1982. And I remember this being a standout of the set, just because, just again, I can't remember exactly where they put it into the set, but it just it broke up the mayhem in a good way. It just kind of went with the flow, and just, it's one when you listen to it on the album and you're like, okay, this is gonna be a tough one for them to pull off on stage. But as Matt said, on Us Festival, they nailed it. And it's one that stood out for me at my first concert ever. I thought they did great on it. So
Perfect. Mark Meyer, you have this one a little lower. This was number 8 for you.
Yeah, I echo everything that Darren said, really. It's a fine song. It's definitely not going to make my top 30 list or anything like that. But it's fine. I guess really it fell so low because at the time of ranking it, perhaps I just wasn't vibing it as much as the other ones. It's not that it's a bad song at all. It's just for me it was just kind of lacking at the time. Now, again, I could have a completely different perspective next week just listening to it randomly or something and go, shit, I should have put that way higher or way lower. I don't know. But no, it's completely fine. It is one where Dave sings and sings very well in it. So kudos to him. But yeah, it just didn't rank very high for me because it just, I don't know, just wasn't vibing it, I guess. But it is a fine song.
Fair enough. And Johnny Bean, the final word on Secrets. This was your number 2 track.
Yeah, I love it. I love this song. It's great to hear Edward playing a 12-string electric guitar. And I don't know if you guys have heard it, but there's actually there's like a rough demo recording of this out there, which I think is instrumental. I think it's just the music, and it's pretty interesting to listen to. But I mean, it's one of those, again, it's a song that Van Halen did, and it's a little different and something that's cool if you're like into, like I said, I was a huge Van Halen collector back in the day. This is the Secrets 45 right here. This is actually the remix version of the song. And if you ever hear this, there's actually a synthesizer underneath the track, which made it more like radio, like pop friendly, I guess.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Pretty interesting.
So you've probably got the single. So wasn't there an alternate version of Jump with Dave doing an extra whoa, like at a certain point, and
That
like they
was
even left it in the video, but they cut the audio out?
That was in the video. That was
Right.
just, I think that was just the video version of that.
But then didn't they release that though to radio? Because I remember hearing it, but you couldn't get it anywhere.
I don't think they did, although
Okay.
it's possible that they just played the video version of
The video
that
track,
on the
you're
radio
right.
at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, big Johnny Bean super fan Turd Ferguson in the chat right now wants to mention Alex Swings on Secrets. So smooth, absolutely. And our resident guitar expert in the chat, Josh, says Holdsworth and Lukather influence in that solo. I could definitely hear some Lukather. Let's go to the guitar guys real quick. Do you hear a little bit of that in there?
Lukather was actually in the studio when Eddie was doing a lot of that stuff. He was there with him. So
shit.
it's possible that he was there, when he recorded that.
I was there. That was all fucked up. So I played it. They just released it. It's fucking, that's me. You see him doing that, right?
Yeah, Lukather was there.
That's the
and
twist ending.
Yeah, Lukather was there, and he's like, "Hey, Eddie, this guy named Quincy Jones called me, and he wants to do something the next year. Are you up for it?" So,
Yeah, whatever. I don't need credit. Just go ahead.
Just this dude named Quincy.
yeah. I heard it, and everybody knows that you know, he was influenced by and inspired by Holdsworth, and yeah, I think I hear a little bit of that. I mean, it's definitely gives him, when it's not four on the floor, full throttle rock, you know, it's a more interesting arrangement. You can definitely branch out on it. Again, I'll go back to what Kelsey said, comparing it to Push Comes to Shove, same thing. You know, it's a laid back, more sparse arrangement. He's really able to just, you know, do some shit that he wouldn't normally do on just some, you know, knuckle dragger rocker, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Turd Ferguson does like on Casey Kasem's American Top 40. And now back to the countdown. But first, here's a long distance dedication from Chris J to Matt L. Matt, can we just stop fighting and just get along? And I want to dedicate this song to you in the spirit of peace and tranquility. It's the number 3 song on our countdown here tonight. Oops.
As long as I agree.
Well, let's see. Number 3 is The Full Bug.
So close.
Number 3, The Full Bug, 226 points. 4 people ranked this number 1. 1 person ranked this 10th. The most votes it got was in the number 4 spot. The audience also put this at number 4. Full Bug, very popular song. Everyone on the panel rocking out right now. Let's start with Johnny Bean on The Full Bug, all the way down at number 10, my friend.
I've heard the song so many times, and maybe it just had to go somewhere, I guess.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I get you. Any man trolling it just real quick. Anybody bidding on any of Alex's auction? I'm currently high bidder on his drum set with the speakers and the bass drums. Kidding, man. Even like a set of drumsticks is like, you know, $400 now. Like that thing is just fucking
I can't even
unreal.
pretend to auction for any of that.
I mean, I was like, oh yeah, I should get, you know, maybe I'll get a set list or a autographed drum hit or something, or one of his ride cymbals. Fuck, I'd have to mortgage my house just to get any of that kind of stuff. The auction going very well for Alex's charity, but not for us broke some bitches on the call who can't afford anything. Mark Meyer, The Full Bug, number 5.
Yeah, number 5. It is what it is. I didn't feel like it belonged in the bottom tier because it swings a little bit too good. And you know, and again, I mentioned, you know, my top 3 had to be my top 3 just because of, you know, nostalgia and personal reasons. But Full Bug is the full bag, man. It's got everything you like about this era of Van Halen, or just Van Halen in general. You know, we talk a lot about the rock swing that Van Halen has kind of, they perfected sort of in an earlier, you know, early on in their careers. And I think this song is sort of just another sort of iteration of, oh yeah, by the way, you know that sound that you love that we do so well? Here you go. Here's one. Here's a little taste. And yeah, so it's definitely of the it's of the high variety, I think, but it made my number 5 because that's where it had to go.
Made my number 2. I love me some Full Bug. Darren Paltrowitz, your number 2 as well.
Yeah, it's good because I don't think this album has a lot of great material. But speaking of great material, have you ever heard the Casey Kasem outtakes?
No, I have not.
Yes.
Please tell me
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The part where he's like, another dead dog dedication? Please, I would love to.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Is there a compilation? where
Doesn't
I
he
can
have
just go
like a
back?
whole breakdown?
is.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, like
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Like
doesn't he have,
O'Reilly.
like,
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Bernie used to play
O'Reilly.
it
Do
all
it
the time.
live. The same thing. Yeah.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Yeah.
That was in circulation along with the Buddy Rich tapes of him just tearing his
Paul
band guys.
Anka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
these were
Howard
going
Stern
in the
was
early,
using them a lot.
yeah.
Howard Stern had that
in the
shit
early
going on.
90s. These were being passed around on cassette.
Best.
Oh, man.
Kasem and Rich were hand in hand in that.
Mr.
Oh,
Rogers.
Stern used to play the
great
Casey Kasem breakdown all the time.
All right.
Totally. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I would rather listen to most of these celebrities at their worst outtakes than Diver Down, for the record. But the full
Fuck. Fuck.
Well, I tell you what,
How
How do
do
you
you
really
man?
feel about it?
Damn.
Bro, what is he doing here?
Oof. Gotta ghost him. I'm gonna go
Fuck,
back
man.
on
You
Twitter
gotta
so I
bring
can
us down.
ghost you.
Kevin Brown,
I
have
just
I blown
tweeted
your
you
bluff
again.
yet?
I'm gonna just reactivate the account so I can be your friend and then ghost you. That's just uncalled for. Gosh.
all right. Matt, I believe we're on you. Full bug, number 3.
Yeah, all right. So I'm 11 years old and I'm listening to this song and I'm like, the best part of a man. What is this? Does that mean like, what does this mean? And it took me a little bit to figure it out. And I don't know, man. This is one of my favorite Van Halen songs. The ripping, I understand it's pretty basic, but the solo is great. Roth saying what he's saying. Like I literally as a kid was like, oh yeah, okay, so it's gotta be about like a bug actually biting somebody and whatever. And then like 2 years later, it's like, oh, you're a fucking moron. It's about, that. And I don't know. It's great. It's Roth. That is kind of his best. And it's just a fairly basic rock and roll track underneath it, but the attitude sends it up to 10.5 for me. Yeah, this is my third, or this is my second song really on the track on the album, and I stand by it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
Love it.
Chris L. talking about making Outburst famous. Pot of Thunder is kind of known for that. A certain crooner yelling, "That's just the fucking way it is," amongst other things.
Yeah, that the Anka diatribe is one that kind of came onto my consciousness after the Buddy Rich and the Kasems were like compilations. The is a stream of consciousness just tearing of new assholes to a room full of guys, which makes it funnier. But this is my number one of the album. Matt captured my thoughts almost entirely. I'm going to steal one of Kelsey's lines here, and I'm secure enough in my manhood to say this, but Roth is so effing sexy on this one, especially the lines that Matt alluded to. And I'll read the lead into it. Takers need a giver. This much we understand. All I want to give you, woman, is the best part of a man. I mean, that's fucking awesome.
That's fucking crazy.
And it harkens back to the second Kiss song I ever heard was Take Me, because my cousin played me the Rock and Roll Over album, and Take Me a Second. And when Paul Stanley barked out Make Me Feel Like a Man in that song, I didn't even know
great song.
I didn't even know what he was talking about, but I was like, yes, I want to feel like a man. I didn't even know what the hell was going on, but that just hit me like a lightning bolt. And then when I hear it a few years later on this Van Halen song, it hit me the same way. And by then, of course, I was a man of the world, but not really. But yeah, just, Matt captured a lot of my thoughts about the same thing. And I think maybe you might get your feathers ruffled by the fact that there's a harmonica solo where there should be an Eddie Van Halen solo, but I don't know, man. This is just pure attitude, full throttle rock and roll, great lyrics, love it.
And the harmonica rips.
Yeah, it does.
I got to tell you, Chris, coming this summer, I'm starting a new podcast. I had this idea. I'm going to start a show, and it's going to be called Rock Court. And what we're doing is we're going to actually argue a case. We have attorneys, if you will, rock attorneys for either side. The first case we're going to do is who's the better lyricist, Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth. Kevin Brown is arguing for Sammy Hagar. Our buddy Heath McCoy. Heath McCoy is arguing for Diamond Dave. And I got to tell you, Heath, if you're listening to this show, kind of check out the lyrics in the full bug to help cement your argument. There's some really good stuff here.
Is some fucking competition, Kevin. Heath is
this the show where the Discord got kind of muddy, but I believe my name was brought up as a key witness at some point?
You will be subpoenaed. Yes, you will be subpoenaed.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
boy.
Yeah. He's up against it, man.
Have to catch me first.
My money's on Heath. My money's on Heath. I'm taking bets.
Roth or
Talk to me
Hagar the better
offline.
Roth or Hagar the better lyricist? That's like, did OJ do it? I mean, is there even an argument here? But anyway,
No argument. Come
Oh,
on.
Mark
What do
liked
we
that
do?
one. Yeah. Okay, everybody fucked up my screen now. I can't remember who I was on. Who hasn't spoken yet on Full Bug? Kelsey and Chaz, have you spoken yet?
I have not.
Okay, let's go to Kelsey first then, because nobody cares about Chaz. Kelsey,
There you go.
the Full Bug. Tell us about it.
Yes, this song is sexy as hell. I remember the first time I heard this song. It was probably about it was a few years ago around this time, and this was one that I hadn't, like I said, I'm not a big Diver Down girl, but this was one that I hadn't listened to. And I remember the first time I actually listened to this whole song through, you should have seen the look on my face. I was like, oh my God. David, oh my God, dude, the Bad Little Woman Gonna Bite Your Ass. That song, that part, oh my God. But yeah, it's yeah, this song was my personality for a whole summer. Like, I was rocking out to this song, and yeah, it's just mwah. And they all sound so good, but David especially is just sexy as hell on this song. So
All right, Chaz, you get the final word on the Full Bug.
How the hell do I follow that?
I don't know.
Come on. She's giving testimony here, but shit, I'm thinking just like
Give thumbs
changed my
up.
life.
Did you
Changed
did
my
you
life.
like it or didn't you?
It was all right.
2 thumbs up, man. Yeah. Definitely. But the boogie, and this to me was like probably the reason they didn't do a ZZ Top song, because they had their own. I mean, this is it, right? If anything harkens back to them, as much as I'd love to hear Beer Drinkers, this song for me is top 20 Van Halen catalog. It's everything about the fucking band, showcased for all of them, right? I mean, truly, everything stands out. All the instruments are prominent, all the vocals, the riff is just fucking world class. I mean, raunchy Van Halen, raunch rock at its finest. I mean, this is one to be ashamed of, everybody, because this is just what made this band great. Really, it is.
Well, Kevin Brown in the chat says, yeah, because Drop Dead Legs and Sensible Shoes are fucking Shakespeare. Hey, I tell you, the Gypsy said the problem with you is you need
Hey, you
some
leave
fucking
Sensible Shoes out of this.
Drop
Yeah,
Dead
what the
Legs
fuck are we
is
talking about?
fucking
Sensible Shoes
masterpiece.
is fucking awesome.
I
You're
look at
damn
it,
right
I'm
it
funny,
is.
so
Thank
why am
you.
I lonesome,
Fucking
honey? Come
Brown.
on.
Best
Order
is
the
the best statement.
Corey, get
He's
the
just
court.
fucking
They're-
provoking
Can we
people.
stop giving Kevin Brown any attention?
Was
Exactly.
that Kevin Brown? That
Feeding
only
off
could
of
be
this
taken
shit.
by
Hi,
Kevin Brown.
He just
Hi, Kevin.
crossed the line with the
He's
sensible
saying-
shoes shot.
He's saying
Unacceptable.
shit to say
Blocked.
shit. He's
Yeah,
being
it's
provocative.
unacceptable.
One of my
now
Like
favorite
to put a,
excited about
like to put a
Rock
sensible
Court.
shoe up his ass right
just
now.
to just to hear his
Arsenal.
Damn.
his
Up there,
opening statement.
Saskatchewan.
I got a
With
good
his-
You get to
job.
fight Kevin Brown, I'll fight Chris Jericho.
There
Let's
you go. Tag
This
team.
guy
There
eats
you go.
cauliflower wings. This guy
Tag
is. He
team
eats
match.
cauliflower
Yep.
wings. You put your foot up there. You're gonna be smelling that for weeks.
Come on, man. I got a good job. I look good and I'm funny, so why am I lonesome, honey? That's some great shit. Sensible
Yeah,
Shoes
come
fucking rocks.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
That song
Brilliant.
rules. Yeah.
Versus she
Forget it.
puts the butter on my biscuits. Okay,
Yeah.
Mm,
enough.
Right.
right
That's
up to her lunch
relatable,
pail.
though.
There you
Oh.
go.
I just got word that David Lee Roth just entered Kevin Brown's house and dropped his pants, and Kevin said,
I really look forward to sucking.
there you go. All right.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy. Number 2. That's right. We're down to the final 2. Will it be the legendary Little Guitars, which currently leads our audience poll, or will Hang 'em High pull the upset? Does anyone think Hang 'em High has a shot here, or is it Little Guitars?
Yeah.
Let's hang 'em high.
We know Little Guitars is number one. We know that.
No, it is not.
Yeah, you're right. Little Guitars is number 1. Number 2, Hang 'em High. 238 points, if I can read correctly. 5 people had this ranked number 1, including myself. This is my number 1 song on Diver Down. 1 person had this ranked as low as 7th. Its most popular spot was number 4. Audience ranking for this one was number 2. Hang 'em High fucking rips. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Because my screen all changed around. I can't remember where I started or ended last time. So let's just start at the top and work our way down. Johnny Bean, Hang 'em High, number 4 for you.
Hey, yeah, great song. Probably would have been higher if I hadn't listened to it so many times back in the day. But I love the lyrics, love the guitar, and you guys know this was actually a demo
That's right. Last
back
night.
On the first album, for the first album, it was a song called Last Night. And musically, it's the same, exactly the same, just different lyrics.
That's right. Let's see. Let's go to Chris Brown. Or sorry, Chris L. next. Chris Brown. Holy shit.
Chris Brown is
Yeah,
here.
I was on a way different podcast there for a second.
There's no way he's no.
About to
Chris
say, you
Brown
better
is not here.
get him out of there.
He'd be a good guest on your courtroom podcast.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Good call. Hang 'em high, number 4, Chris.
Yeah, I had this fourth. This is another one that, like I said, my 2 through 4 could have been interchangeable. You know, this is one that, in retrospect, I probably could have moved up to 3 or 2. Corey said it best. It does fucking rip. Doesn't rip as hard as the full bug for me, but this is one where it's just the whole album gets a bad rap because of the covers and this and that. But when you focus on the originals, and yeah, it's like couldn't really. I guess they could have. It should have been an EP or whatever. But if you just zero in on the originals, even if you like the covers, which I do, the 4 originals are outstanding. You know, and this is definitely right up there with the full tilt. 2 full tilt rockers, 2 sort of more laid back quasi ballads and stuff. It's a great mix, and big fan of it.
Excellent.
You know, I love what they did by co-opting the Diver Down logo. At the time they took the Western Exterminators logo. I love that they did that. They kind of made those associations because, like, every time I saw the flag, I mean, it was just like Van Halen, fucking Diver Down. It was always like, yeah, man, party on. It's it, you know. Even if it was just the dive shop we're going past, right? So.
All right, Chaz, you had this one number 1.
Number fucking 1, baby. Come on, this rips. God, this is just everything that's just the ferocity of Edward and the whole band. They're just on fire. Every one of them, they're bringing it. This is, again, for the catalog, right up there, probably top 25 for me. Just everything about that era, about Roth era that made Van Halen so fucking great just comes across in this song.
All right. Matt Lacoste, I think this was pretty high on yours too. Hang 'em high, number 4.
Yeah, I couldn't decide between this and Full Bug being really 2, because I put Little Guitar's intro right in front of the other one. Spoiler alert. But I love both songs, but Hang 'em High is I would have flipped them. I think Hang 'em High is better than Full Bug. This song would have fit into Women and Children First, like, perfectly. It's that type of song, and I know they had this as one of their demos way back in the beginning. I think it was named something else. It just rips, man. The solo it's like a 3-part solo, right? Yeah, and look, this is one of those with the Roth lyrics where you got to give him a little credit. He made a story out of a song. Like, his original lyrics were so stupid they made him rewrite it, and he went back and rewrote it, and he came back with this Western thing, and it works. It's fucking awesome. I don't know. I love this song. Yeah,
It
love
is fucking awesome. Kelsey, Hang 'em high, number 5 on your ballot.
I have to be honest. The song is slowly growing on me. I don't listen to the song a lot. I actually just put it on my playlist. But like I said, Diver Down, I've never been a big Diver Down girl, so I'm like Full Bug I got into a few years ago. And like I've always lived like Secrets was kind of the same thing, but yeah, this song does rip. I will say that. Just the other songs they have more importance to me. I love songs. I saw the I'm the One comparison on here, and I thought that was a great point.
Yep.
But I love hearing songs where you can hear Eddie's fingers. Like, you can hear him working, you can hear, like, it's just so clean, and it sounds so good. Alex sounds amazing on this. Oh, I love Eddie's little walk down during the solo. Yeah, no, it's a great song. Great song.
All right. Well, I noted that one person ranked as 7th. That person is Darren Paltrowitz. Darren, why are you a thief of joy? Why do you hate life?
How about instead of
Kevin Brown?
I play 30 seconds of Casey Kasem losing his stuff. I have it readily available if you wanted to hear that.
Absolutely, lay it on us.
Okay. You tell me the volume's okay.
Dear Casey, this may seem to be a strange dedication request, but I'm quite sincere, and it'll mean a lot if you play it. Recently, there was a death in our family. He was a little dog named Snuggles, but he was most certainly a part of... Let's go start again. I'm coming out of the record. Play the record, okay? Please. See, when you come out of those up-tempo goddamn numbers, man, it's impossible to make those transitions. And then you got to go into somebody dying. You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for, but goddamn it, if we can't come out of a slow record, I don't understand it. Is Don on the phone? Oh.
I think that's a better use of time than me explaining why Hang 'em High was number 7 on my list, okay?
He's got a point, though. That's a tough transition.
Damn.
Like if we're gonna go to Hang 'em High now, here's a dedication for someone's dead grandma. It's like that's tough to pull off. If anyone could do it, though, Casey fucking Kasem.
It's kind of like
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
kind of like Intruder into Orbison. It's
Yeah.
a similar transition.
Good call.
You know,
All right, Mark Meyer, Hang 'em High, number 6 for you.
Well, first of all, I can't believe the Super Friends voice of Robin would curse so like that. That's insane. Yeah, kind of what Chris said. In hindsight, this probably could have gone up on the list. For I guess I was in a weird mood when I made the final rank for myself. But yeah, it does. It hits quite hard and quite nicely, but not quite enough for me above Full Bug. So it's right behind it. But it is a banger of a track, and yeah, again, in hindsight and all that, it probably will end up climbing the list. Like if I was making the list right now, I would definitely put it higher. But it is where it is. It's at my number 6 right now, and that's just not indicative of quality. It's just where it fell.
All right. Well, everyone will be happy to know that Kevin Brown is getting shit in the chat as well. Jeff Brewer says, Kevin, how do you say such completely reasonable statements so close to such stupid ones? And that is just the beauty of one Kevin Brown. But that brings us now to our final song of the evening. And just to let you know, Hang 'em High was number 2 on our rankings, number 2 in the audience poll. It was 91.6% What Dreams Are Made Of, 8.4% The Dream Is Over. Here's the big difference between 2 and 1. Little Guitars, for those that don't know, according to our audience poll, is the number 1 Van Halen song of all time. They ranked this 98.6% What Dreams Are Made Of, 1.4% The Dream Is Over. So that's like one down vote out of 150, 200 votes. It was really insane. Little Guitars is still leading the way. And we'll find out if everyone kind of agrees with that. Should this be the number 1 song in the Van Halen catalog? I think that's a good thing to debate here. Let's go to the official stats here. 259 points for Little Guitars. 8 people ranked this as the best track on Diver Down. 1 person had this 6th. That's the lowest that went. Its most popular spot was 4th. And as I mentioned, the audience ranking was 1st. Please don't mind my dog. I'll be shooting him after the broadcast here. Yo. Little Guitars. No, I won't be doing that.
Case him on it.
Like this one goes out to Chewbacca in his final moments on Earth as he's barked during another live show. No. Little Guitars. Johnny Bean, let's start with you. You had this one ranked number 3. Do you think this should be deserving as the number 1 song in Van Halen's entire catalog, according to our audience?
No. Nah, I mean, Roth era, it's up there, I think. As far as the entire catalog, no, I don't. But where did I put it? Guitars.
I think you had it
Third.
Third, yeah.
Third, yeah. It's a great song, but again, Diver Down is one of those albums that I've heard way too many times. Like when I first got it, years and years ago. So that's just kind of where it is. But yeah, but as far as the Roth era tune, it's definitely up there. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark Meyer, I saw you shaking your head. I know you still can't believe Little Guitars is number 1 in our audience poll. You put this one number 4.
Yeah, it is the highest ranked original track from this album for me. Because I'm not gonna deny it's a good song. It is. It's a really good song. I'm just flabbergasted that of the entire Van Halen catalog, of all the eras, of everything that we have heard in the journey so far, our audience still deems this one of all the Van Halen tracks, this one, Little Guitars, must be the highest ranked. I'm just not quite sure I will ever understand. But it's number 4 for me, which is right there behind the 3 covers that I had in my top 3. So again, good song. But I absolutely repent the whole idea of, I repel the idea of this being Van Halen's number 1 song. No, not at all.
All right, well, Darren Paltrowitz, you ranked this number 1 on Diver Down. Would this be tops in the Van Halen catalog for you?
Van Halen catalog, no. This album, yes. And it's because I believe that sometimes a song can be pretty good, but you have great memories associated with it. And that helps it be awesome. So this song was in the movie This Is 40, the Judd Apatow movie, which a lot of people didn't like, but I loved and I still love. This is a song that Dave did in that 1999 Finland concert that I love. It provides endless amounts of material for my YouTube and my TikTok, like Dave sexually harassing the crowd and missing high notes and the split kicks. Great concert, 99 Finland. And then also, like, when I was going through a tough time, a friend of mine, just as a joke, this guy's in the band Blue October, and he was in the band Long Wave, sent me a video of him playing this song as a way to cheer me up. And I don't know, forever, because of those reasons, I think highly of that. Also is Casey Kasem's favorite Van Halen song. Okay, no, I made that one up.
All right, Senorita, number 1, Little Guitars for you.
That's me. Oh, I love this song. Hold on, let me open it up. But yeah, this song is just, it embodies like summer for me. Like, it's really hard for me to listen in the winter, but yeah, this is a great like summer song. I wrote that I can see Eddie's smile when I hear this song. Like, it's just such a fun song. I love, yeah, Senorita. That's such a great, I sing that to myself all the time. The little like dreamy sing to me. Yeah, I just think like this is like another song that they don't really have anything like super similar to this. Like, this is very upbeat and like I don't even know what the word is, but it's like, yeah, it's very different from anything that they have, and I think this is a really great standout on this album. And like, yeah, I've been in love with this song forever. Do I think it's number 1? No, but everyone also hates my number 1 Van Halen song, so I on that ranking it, like on the polls at least. But this is definitely one of my favorite Van Halen songs. So
And what is your number 1 again, all time, Kelsey?
Dirty Movies.
Dirty Movies.
Yes. By
Such
the
a
way,
banger.
that is my favorite Van Halen song.
It's so good.
I am so with you on that.
Yeah, and what's the ranking? It's like 70 something. Like,
it's way
breaks
down.
my
it's
heart.
bullshit. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. Yeah.
Such a banger.
Oh, we have to do another revisited episode, Mark. Chaz Charles, Little Guitars, you had this one all the way down at number 6.
Yeah. Just,
Block 'em
for
on
the
Twitter.
simple it's, there's just stuff about I love the song, so it had to fall somewhere. For me, the intro goes with it. So there was like, 7 was the intro, but then 8, I mean, just take the list down, a notch. For me, I love the intro from the classical guitar into that, what I kind of consider a very proggy kind of intro to the song, and then that plucking style. It's fucking manic, man. So try to play that song. It's a lot of fun to play, but it's fucking hard. So I don't spend a lot of time playing that one. I mean, I'll mess around with the intro more than I will with the song, and then with the song I'll fuck around with it, but we've never really seriously played it. But yeah, it's great because then it's also spacious in parts. So it's a really short song, but there's a lot going on in there, right? So but here's something, right? I mean, this fucking ranking kind of dispels the notion that the poll was just Monroe's Minions out there. influencing the numbers because here we have, again, the whole friggin' cast here looks like voted
Is
number
that the
one.
new cult, Monroe's Minions?
Well, that's what they did with this one. We're fully convinced he swayed that vote, man. That was him.
Then
I see.
I gotta
That was
get I
him.
gotta pay off Scott to get Panama higher then, because it's still, I think, only at like 92%. We need that. We got a few
You
days
send him
left
a
in
couple
that
of
poll.
bucks. You never
Right,
know.
man. Yeah.
All
Funny
right,
how that shit happens.
Matt Lacoste, thank you again for joining us here tonight. Little Guitars, you're number one of the record. Would you put it number one in the catalog? Top 10 even?
Top 10 for sure. Top 5 maybe. It's, it starts off with that Alex beat, and the most underrated drummer of all time, and that is almost his Bonham when a levee breaks, in a way. The way that boom, you tap, boom, you pop, pop, it's bad. And then when Eddie comes in, it's really hard to beat that. And then, it gets goofy with Dave. It kind of highlights all of the best parts of Van Halen in a different way, which is what I think makes this band so great at the end of the day. They don't, like Zeppelin, they don't follow one actual thing. They sound different from song to song and from original song to song. And this song is an outlier from all the other stuff they've ever done. And but at the same time, it's still Eddie playing. He's got the tapping, but like, I don't know, it hits home every time. When Alex's drum beat comes in, I'm in. It's top 5, easily top 10. Might be my 4th or 5th favorite Van Halen song of all time. This song fucking rules.
All right.
Little Guitars.
Well, I love Little Guitars too. My minorest of quibbles is just that first line in the chorus, the catch as catch as catch can. To me, it kind of feels like how I imagine Kevin Brown making love. It's a little bumpy. It's awkward. It's like in the room where Tommy Wiseau is aiming for her navel.
Oh no!
Why are you imagining
Mark.
Kevin Brown making love, Corey?
Yeah,
Kevin,
I
I'll
got a lot of
defend
time
you
on my
if you
hands.
like what I do.
All right, we're going to finish off here with the legendary, the one and only, the gunslinger, Chris L., the breakout star of the podcast medium. Little Guitars, number 2 on your rankings. What do you think about Little Guitars being number 1 in our audience poll, and would you put it top 10 all-time Van Halen? I believe you're muted again there, sir.
Oh no.
Chris, you're muted.
Idiot. First order business. Is your dog really named Chewbacca?
He is, yes. Chewy for short.
Okay, he should shoot you for that.
The kids named him. Named him.
Second, answering your questions, I'm not going to dismiss it outright that this could be the best Van Halen song ever. I wouldn't have put it there, but now that I think about it, it could be. I mean, like Chaz said, it's a short song, but there's about 4 or 5 different directions it goes in with the arrangement, and it just sounds so good. Everything just beautifully produced. Lyrics are great. Performances, the like others have said, the Bonham-esque intro into the proggy thing, and then it goes into the staccato picking, and it's just it's a great track, and I think all the originals, which there's only really 4 on here, instrumentals out of the picture, are as good as anything they ever did. So I won't dismiss that take outright. Me personally, I would say Light Up the Sky is number 1 for me. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the case, and the votes, the numbers don't lie. That's what people think, and yeah, it makes sense to me.
Perfect. Well, Mark Kamier, we did it. That's another live show in the books. Went a little longer tonight, but we had 12 songs to talk about too. So why don't you take us home here?
12 songs and a full panel of people who had lots to say about a very divisive album, to say the least, in the Van Halen catalog. We don't have too many of those, but we have a few, and this was one of them, but there it is, another one in the book. So I want to thank our panelists here, everyone, for being on the show. It's always a pleasure having you. So we'll just start off the bat. Chaz Mataz, thank you so much, Chaz. Charles, always a pleasure, even when it seems like you've taken you and Kevin Brown have swapped places and you are no longer the heel of the show. That would be Kevin Brown. But it's all please tell the people what you got going on and where they can find you.
Well, on a regular basis, you can find me over on Rush Rash, the Rush podcast, where we do what you do and what others on this panel do. We spin a wheel and we listen to Rush. And we're going to be launching now the third season of the Regarding series, as we've been talking about with Regarding Van Halen 3, which we're going to launch here in 2 weeks with you guys on your wrap-up show. So we're looking forward to that. And then, of course, you can go back to the archived Rush Regarding Roger and Regarding Lulu.
Right on. Pod of Thunder's own Chris L joining us again for another rankings. I hope the hot takes didn't make you too ornery about the whole thing, because we love having you on the show. So please always feel free to come back. Tell the people where they can find you, man. What you got going on?
Yeah, are you kidding me? I mean, get ornery about hot takes. That's the fun of what we do, you know. Especially like I said, with an album and a band like this, and you know, this is what's fun about it. If everybody thought the same about everything, it'd be pretty boring. So yeah, podofthunder.com. Look for us anywhere you get your podcasts. Little teaser for Monday's episode. The featured song does have a Ted Templeman connection, so
Nice.
look for that on Monday.
You heard it here. Right on. Thank you so much. Our amazing patron coming back to the show. Been a hot second, but Matt Lacoste, man. Always a pleasure having you on. You always come in with the no, I won't say like super serious hot takes, but you got passion, kid. I love it. I love the passion of it. Please let the people know what you got going on, where they can find you.
Thanks for having me. You can't find me anywhere because I don't want to do anything but show up on this stuff occasionally. So I'm going to watch all the rest of you guys. Love you. Thank you.
He's just a forever lurker, just lurking about us, Corey. Just always
Damn
lurking,
right.
always watching. But we appreciate you. And speaking of appreciation, no one appreciates the work of David Lee Roth more than Darren Paltritz. Thank you so much for coming back to the show, dude. I hope this one wasn't too difficult for you, as this you have quite a lot to say about this album entirely, but always a pleasure having you and hearing your perspective. So please let the people know where they can find you and what you have going on.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a blast, all seriousness. DLR book, How David Lee Roth Changed the World, is available through Amazon, Walmart, Target, however you buy books online. The DLR cast, we're about to hit episode 100. Some surprises coming when we post that in about 2-ish weeks. Martin Popoff is going to be on episode 101 after that. And the Paltricast with Darren Paltritz, where I post interviews 5-6 days a week. 150 plus stations airing this piece of garbage that I call a podcast and TV show. Just put on Paltricast on YouTube. Please follow me, comment, troll me, and I'll troll you back. And thank you, Kevin Brown.
Always a pleasure. Yes, thank you, Kevin Brown, just in general, just for being you and being the punching bag everyone needed tonight, apparently. But you know who wasn't a punching bag, though, just throwing punches, is Kelsey Van Halen, the fan favorite of the show, always coming in with, again, that word passion. We love passionate Van Halen fans, and I think you stand apart from all the rest. Please let the people know where they can find you if they want to, and what you got going on.
Well, Kelsey Van Halen, as usual. If you don't know who I am, are you okay? Anyways, thank you, Kevin Brown. I'm not gonna say for what, but just for, you know, I love being here. I love doing this. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And stay tuned, because I might have some coming up. I have a few ideas bopping around in my pretty little head. So thank you guys. I love being in y'all's company and hearing everyone's perspectives. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to say mine.
There you go. Was that an exclusive? Was that a scoop? I think we got a scoop, Corey. Early scoop.
Oh,
That's why you guys come for the Van Halen stuff, but you stick around for the scoops.
I've got
I
an
get it.
idea of what she's referring to, and I'm really hoping she follows through on it. If you need any help, Kelsey, you know where to come.
Well, I'll tell you something. Someone who needs no help in spreading the good word of Van Halen is Johnny Bean. Johnny, you joining us on the show, man, with your perspectives and your opinions, and what's a nice bit of extra fresh air. You know, it's awesome. We love hearing the opinions of people that want to talk about Van Halen and that want to talk about them with us. So please let the people know what you got going on and where they can find all your work.
Hey, Van Halen wise, I do a show called Exclusively Van Halen Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, on X. I do a lot of different guitar stuff. I do interviews. You can go to johnnybean.tv or just Google me. I'm everywhere there is. So, and thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Always a pleasure. He's everywhere, all the time, all at once. Johnny Bean. Like, there you go. Corey, we've done it, man. What's left to do but to take us out? Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah. Next week, we're going to be spinning the third to last song on our wheel. We only have 3 tracks left. They're Atomic Punk, Aftershock, and The Trouble with Never, from Different Kind of Truth, which is back on streaming services, we noticed this week.
Hey!
Yeah, it's on Apple Music. Spotify, I guess, is a little slow, but it's on YouTube Music. So if you want to stream A Different Kind of Truth, it's on there now. And
That's all right. Maybe he listened to us last week, man.
Yeah, I
right.
think Dave's just getting sick of all the negative press. He had to put out his his shitty Tommy Two-Tone cover and get a little goodwill going his way again. But we'll be doing that next week, and then in 2 weeks, Friday night, man, I hope Chris will come back to help us talk about Van Halen 3 with regarding Van Halen 3 boys, Chaz and Scott Monroe. That should be a really interesting show. I can't wait for that.
That will be. It's going to get real interesting in the coming weeks. So please stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, whether it's here on YouTube for these live shows or as you're a regular podcasting listener. Please spread the word, share if you want. There's people that are friends of yours that I'm sure are diehard Van Halen fans. They need to know about this show before it goes away. I mean, we're not going away, but just this phase is ending. But we got all the backlogged episodes at podcastwillrock.com. Go check it out there. All the links to our socials, links to our merch store. Please get yourself a shirt, a tank top, if you will, because it's getting hot. And just in general, thank you. Just thank you. We're coming down to the final wire of how we're doing the show. And I just, on a personal note, thank you guys for keeping us going, keeping it motivated, keeping the conversation. Even when it gets a bit negative, the conversation continues and we find common ground. And that's very special to us. And special shout out to the panelists here tonight. And if you guys want to perhaps be a panelist for future shows, you know where you got to go. Patreon.com/podcastwillrock. Join the Patreon. That's where the fun is happening. On behalf of Corey, myself, and everyone on the panel, we are, and the podcast will rock, and we will rock you later.